2014 meeting of the Falmouth Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is David Haddad. I'm the chairman of the board. I'd like to introduce the rest of the board to you. To my far right is Matt McNamara, who's a voting member of the board. To my immediate right is Ken Foreman, who's the vice chair of the board. To my left is Mark Kuhl, who's an associate member of the board. The far table is Sri Budrow, our zoning administrator, and Drade Gaishaker, our recording secretary. Tonight we have 4 hearings and some miscellaneous business at the end. Let me talk to you about the board's goals. They are to have full and fair hearings, through reading information in the file, doing our site visits, through testimony, and reviewing documents presented. Anyone who has an interest in an application will be given the opportunity to speak only to what is before the board. If you are recognized by the chair, you may introduce yourself, give your address. All these hearings are recorded and televised. Everyone attending tonight is asked to show respect and courtesy by silencing their cell phones. If you could do that now, I'd appreciate it. Listen to the applicants, witnesses, and the board, refraining from private conversations, refraining from making derogatory statements, and exiting the hearing room quietly. And as we proceed, I'll be giving the applicant 15 minutes to make the presentation. If the applicant needs more time, you can ask me. I'll ask the board if we're willing to give you some more time. The board will ask some questions. We'll review information from other departments, and then we'll go to the public for some testimony. So at this time, I'll ask our acting clerk, Mr. Kuhl, to read the first application into the record, please.
It's application number 7114. Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 40A, the Massachusetts General Laws, you are hereby notified that Sprint Spectrum Realty Company of Bayonne, New Jersey, applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a modification of a special permit 54-03 previously approved under Section 240-38I of the Code of Falmouth to add 3 additional panel antennas, 3 remote radio heads, and 1 hybrid cable line onto existing monopole located at 210 Nathan S. Ellis Highway, Hatchville, Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mark. Sir, if you can introduce yourself. And
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Mike Walsh with J. Lee Associates, representing the applicant Sprint Spectrum tonight. My address is 64 East 5th Street, Bayonne, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Sprint is proposing to add additional antennas to the existing tower. Currently, there are 6 antennas at the site, 6 remote radio heads, and 4 lines. Sprint proposes to add 3 additional antennas, 3 additional remote radio heads, 1 additional hybrid line, and 1 cabinet at the base of the tower. That was not included in the original application that went in, so I would like to make a modification to add that, the cabinet at the base. Originally, the original special permit 5403 was permitted for 6 antennas, so this requires the modification to that special permit. The applicant has gone through Cape Cod Commission and has been approved for this modification. That document should be included with the package that was submitted. Additionally, the structural analysis was provided showing that the tower can hold the additional weight, and it did pass. And that's it in a nutshell. Yeah, open up to any questions.
Okay, Mike, hang in right there, and I'm sure we'll have some questions for you.
Absolutely.
Mark, read any referrals.
So the referrals will go into Fire Department, this correspondence concerning application 71-14 by Sprint Spectrum to modify special permit to install 3. They've reviewed. After reviewing the plans, the Falmouth Fire and Rescue Department has no concerns with this project moving forward at this time. And that's it. And no letters of for or against.
All right. Thanks, Mike. You want to start us off?
Sure. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening.
Just to refresh my memory of the of the file, the monopole has the capability of 6 carriers.
Yes,
And there's only 4 that's currently occupied?
I believe so.
Which is the one that Sprint occupies? Do you know?
Sprint is at 148 feet on the tower.
148 feet.
The plan on page A2 of the plans, it shows a elevation view of the tower. On the right-hand side, it has an arrow that points to Sprint's antennas. It is the third one up from the bottom. There's a large array, a small array, and then the next one up is the Sprint.
All right, thank you. And you had noted in your opening remarks that absent from the application, the intent is to put a concrete bed for your base equipment?
No, there's already concrete bed there. There would be an additional cabinet that was previously approved in a building permit application a while back in 2011. That was never installed. I just want to make sure it was included in this. It's a base station radio unit that will fit on the existing concrete slab that is there.
Okay. And who actually owns the mono tower?
Seacoast Tower Development.
All right, and the restriction on the monopole is for 6 carriers, is that right?
I believe in the original special use permit that was granted, it did mention 6 carriers. Sprint being one.
Have there been any complaints of any abutters, whether they be residential or otherwise?
Not that I'm aware of, or that the tower owner has not.
What would be the protocol that you would find out if there were complaints, whether it be noise or?
Usually the protocol would be somebody would call the town would get in touch with either the tower owner or the carriers at the location, and then make the concerns known. Usually I work fairly closely with the tower owners. Haven't heard any complaints, but their public is always welcome to go through you to them, or to the tower owner to us.
So there is an access number that's provided? I'm unaware, so can you just, to the town, I mean?
There should be a placard on the gate saying who owns the tower to give them information. I cannot confirm that that's actually there, though, for who owns the tower.
I was there today,
Okay.
just to refresh my memory, and I remember seeing the placard, and there was a number, but I didn't associate it with any town entity. But, that being said, that's all the questions I have for now.
Thanks, Mike. Ken?
I don't have any questions.
Matt?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good, yourself?
Good, thank you. Mike, if I can get the relationship of all of the parties here.
Sure.
I know you're the agent, and you introduced yourself as with J. Lee Associates.
Correct.
And you're the agent for Sprint Spectrum.
Yes.
But the owner is Seacoast Tower Development.
That's correct. We lease a portion of that tower, the space for our antennas and our ground units, from Seacoast.
Okay. So, and I'll just quickly turn to Sari. The original special permit, and I looked at it, but I can't recall it right now, was in the name of which entity? Seacoast?
The original owner?
Yeah, the original special permit.
I think Seacoast, I believe.
Okay.
Can you verify that, Mark?
Yes.
So then,
On the back page.
so you can't speak to
2002 Seacoast.
Seacoast and anything else that's going on there. You can only speak for Sprint, which is just one of the carriers, which may be a problem with some of the questions that I ask you, because you may not be able to answer. But at least I understand the relationship. The first relates to the plot plan that was submitted. And it's a plot plan that was done for Seacoast Tower, but it doesn't have a date on it. It has an engineer stamp, but there's no date. Do you know when it was prepared?
I prepared I had a plot plan prepared, I would say about a month ago that was submitted.
Okay. I know that the field survey date says on it October of 2013, but there's an engineer stamp, but there's no date, so we don't know when it is. So, unless you have one with you that has a date stamp on it.
I do not. What I have has been submitted, and that would be the latest.
All right. When I reviewed the, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Sorry, I misspoke.
That's all right.
I do have a plot plan here. There is a 9/21/14 date on it. I believe this was what was submitted to, with the application.
This one here has no,
Is that one the one that was attached to the original drawings?
this is date stamped in by our office on August 25th, 2014.
Okay. On the actual drawings, are they attached to the actual zoning drawings that were submitted? They look like they were in the package of drawings. There was an additional plot plan that was submitted separately.
Mine says a revision date of 8/21/14 on the cover page on C1. Excuse me.
Yeah, my,
The surveyor date is not noted. Each one, the title sheet has a different revision number. The outline specs have the same.
let me move on to my second question related to the plot plan or the site plan. And when I reviewed the original 2003 special permit, the planning board had asked for, because this is a piece of property of which there is a special permit granted by the planning board, not the zoning board of appeals, because of the type of special permit that it is. It had asked the zoning board of appeals back in 2003 to make sure that at that time there was a revised site plan showing all of the existing permitted uses in relationship to the proposed tower. And again, hoping that I'm looking at the one that you want me to look at, there seems to be nothing on here as to,
May I approach with a copy of this?
it's up to the chief.
Take that.
What's the date on that? See, that's the same there. See, that's in the file.
Because I know right now, or I shouldn't say I know, but it appears that there is equipment storage, there's dumpster storage, there's a whole host of things out there that aren't shown on this plot plan. So it's really hard to, I'll save my comments for later, but the question is that, do you have anything that shows what's happening at that site currently outside of the monopole?
The one that I just submitted has buildings on it, but I don't believe it has dumpsters, the additional.
Okay. All right, so plot plan, function, okay. And I'm pretty sure the email went to you, Mike, or at least to somebody, and so that you'd be aware of it. And that's why I was asking the relationship between the parties, and that was a question about whether or not there is, does the owner or do you, in terms of representing Sprint, have a policy regarding migratory birds, nest protection,
Right.
when things occur, when work gets done, et cetera?
Yeah, from speaking to Sprint and the land, or the tower owner on this, Sprint's policy is if there is a nest or birds on the tower, that we are not allowed to do work onto the tower until we speak to the tower owner first to see if it's an active nest or what the status of the nest is. If the owner does not know, the tower owner does not know, then we require a biologist to find out whether it is hired by the tower owner himself or if we have to do that to find out what the status of the nest is and then proceed from there.
So is this a policy of Sprint's, or is this a contractual agreement with?
Seacoast Tower?
Seacoast Tower, thank you.
This is a policy of Sprint's.
Is that a written policy?
The information that I have is fairly basic. It wasn't something that was on a letterhead. It was something that was forwarded to me. This is our policy. So.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, Mike, why do you need this extra equipment? Just run that by me again.
This is for the 4G LTE upgrade, which is called Spark by Sprint. It provides high-speed data that is not being covered here in the area.
And obviously, you don't have those technologies now, so
Correct.
that's why you're doing this work. When you do work on the towers, any documentation, like now somebody from Sprint's opening the gate, write something, log something, anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. There is usually a construction timeline that is done after the building permit is pulled, but there is no log at the site of saying that you would be able to see who was out there at what time.
Okay. And when you mentioned that one cabinet that's going to be on the ground, that's something that was already permanent, but this is just something that you're going to add, but it was already taken
Right.
care of in another.
Yeah, there was an 011 building permit, I believe, 928-011 that showed the additional cabinet out there for 3 cabinets. There's 2 out there now. This one's going to be added onto the concrete slab that's already there.
And you said there's 4 carriers now to Mr. Cool, but there can be up to 6, is that correct?
I believe the original special permit does allow for 6 carriers.
But there's 4 there now?
See, I have, there could be 5 actually right now. There's one at the top, there's a small one right below the top installation. Then Sprint being the 3rd one down. And then another small installation between us and the bottom carrier.
Okay, Mike, anybody have any follow-up questions for Mike?
Just a quick follow-up.
Good.
Mike, if I could, again, getting back to the relationship of the parties and the so-called bird policy. If, because this is a special permit that Seacoast got back in 2003 that allowed for up to the 6 carriers, and you're just one carrier. If we were to propose making a change to the special permit that impacted the 4 other carriers, potentially a 5th other carrier, can you agree to that, or would you have to go back to Seacoast?
I would have to go back to Seacoast and agree to changes for the other carriers on the tower.
Okay, thanks.
Excuse me, I have documentation from 2012 that there are 4 carriers there. It's in the file under administrative approval.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Only 4, not?
5?
Yeah, only 4.
Yeah, he can read them off.
Well, there are 4 carriers currently on the monopole tower: Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, and AT&T. But like Suri said, that was November 5th of 2012, so some time
There's been
ago.
no permits for any additional.
So 4 probably exist.
On the drawing, it might be a mounting bracket that's on there that's not
Just something that you
used
write
here.
down. Yeah. So you have any questions for Mike?
You're talking about the ground cabinet, and you said it was permitted through the building department. Was it associated with a previous approval here?
That, let me take a look at the original building permit
You said
application.
it was 2011. Is there any history of approval for 2011? Something like that, there's a different-
I have one, like I said, September 28th, 2011, Sprint PCS to swap old antennas and equipment cabinets for new ones. Then underneath it says ZBA 54-03.
Yeah, but that's to swap it out.
Right, it shows that cabinet being there.
Okay, so you're actually swapping out the cabinet. You're not adding a new cabinet?
The cabinet under this building permit was permitted, but I don't believe it was ever installed. It is not there now. So it would be an addition. Just want to make sure it's covered, that
Right,
there would be no surprises.
I remember a new cabinet. But it does show on the plan that you just submitted or not?
Not on the one that I just submitted. It was shown in the plans that were submitted with the building permit application.
Okay, but this board, if they're going to approve a cabinet, needs to see that on the plan. So we have-
The plans that I submitted, yes, they are in there,
Okay,
yes.
okay, great. That's what's confusing to me.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Well, I'm still a little bit confused because you're talking about, this is what you submitted? Okay.
No, there should be 11 by 17 plans that everybody should have a copy
Okay,
of,
that's what
that has the additional cabinet.
What page number you have, Mike?
That would be on page A3, no, sorry, A4, shows the additional growth cabinet on the right side of the concrete slab. And it depicts the size.
Okay, I got that. So just to be clear, you had gained prior approval and didn't install, and then so you're making us aware that you're capitalizing on the private approval now in your application?
I would like to, yes.
Anybody else have any further questions for Mike?
I do.
Go ahead.
What's the capacity of where Sprint is and the bracketing system? What's the capacity for actual antennae on that?
How many additional antennas, or the total amount of antennas?
The total.
Could be? My understanding is 12 is the maximum that if it could structurally hold it. I don't know if that, the array up there was designed to hold that. I know it'll hold 9 right now. And possibly I've seen 12, but I haven't seen an upgrade that large.
So with this modification, what's it actually going to hold?
There's going to be 9 antennas. There's going to be 9 remote radio heads, and then the lines going up.
Okay. Anything else?
All right, Ken? Anything else? Mike,
Yes.
the equipment you're going to install, that's not going to have any effect with regards to noise, what the wildlife, other than potentially an osprey being there?
Right. No, there won't be any increase in noise from it. No, increases or use of, public facilities or utilities on that. Won't increase traffic.
Okay, thanks. Sweet, any more questions? Does anybody from the public want to comment, speak on this application? Go ahead, ma'am. Can you just introduce yourself, please?
Sorry. Carolyn Belmore, 112 Saddleback Lane. Just, my only question is this going to add height to that tower, or is this going to maintain the same visibility for the area?
Same height. The height's not going to change.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to speak? You guys want to have some discussion on this? Go ahead, Matt. You want to
Sure.
jump in?
In the scope of it, I think it's rather benign request. But in my opinion, there are some deficiencies in the application. And the reason I say that is that we've had a rash of cell tower activity recently, and so I think in many ways trying to be consistent is a good thing. And in some of our recent applications, we were not pleased with the plot plan or the site plan, and to me this one is deficient. I don't know what was handed in, but at least the one that was in the packet.
It's the same one that was in the packet.
Doesn't have a date on it. It doesn't depict everything that's going on at that site. One of the requirements in 2003 was a submission of a site plan at that time that did require everything. Now, Did I go back and pull the 2003 file? No, I didn't, but I really shouldn't have to. It should be, because my understanding is that things have changed significantly on that site since 2003. And I think there's a responsibility that this board has to the town to make sure that it is an accurate site plan. So that's the one thing I think is somewhat deficient. The other is, and it's always complex when you have multiple parties that are to a special permit, but the original special permit was granted to Seacoast Tower, and that if we were to talk about a policy regarding the safeguard of the birds, etc., all we can do tonight is impose that on Sprint, I guess, which is a step forward, but you know, how do you modify the special permit in such a crucial matter? It's turned out to be a crucial matter since all of these have been permitted, when a party is before us that can't bind everyone else that's there. But what I do want to say is, somehow, however we do that, and whether it's, you know, Mike gets back to Seacoast Tower and they agree to things or whatever, I don't know. But again, consistency, when we last brought this up, we talked about the possibility of a policy whereby no access to any work that would be done on the tower or anything that would affect the tower. So it's, you know, putting a cable, you know, that would impact the tower would require administrative approval by our zoning administrator in advance of the work being done. It would be for a time-specific period. Mike used the term construction timeline. And we also talked about the possibility of fines when those things aren't being done. And to remind the board, we did that because there appears to be a lot of activity that happens at these towers that no one seems to know about, that can impact. And here we have a site that is a very busy and active site that we don't know really what the relationship is of those activities to this tower. And if we're allowing people to come in and out of a very busy and active site, we've got some potential problems. So I think that the plot plan, this is my feeling, the plot plan is deficient. I'd like to see us start to be consistent in terms of the access. Ken had some great ideas in terms of, you know, logging, electronic logging. There was discussion of cameras. There was a variety of things. But I think we need to start to be consistent and to say this one's okay just because we only have one carrier here, I don't think is good.
No, I agree with you. So, what I'm hearing you say is you'd want that Mike to come back with a clean plot plan and get back to Seacoast. Let's develop some bird protection policy.
Well, it's just my thoughts. It'd be interesting.
I'm just.
My feeling is, unless you all feel very differently.
No, I don't feel different as far as the plot plan.
This does not cut it in terms of the expectation in 2003, never mind, and I don't think we should diminish the value of what the Zoning Board of Appeals did in 2003. So there has to be a plot plan, and what I think the quote out of that special permit was that showing all existing permitted uses in relationship to the tower. So I don't think, and I hate to put the burden on Sprint alone, but Sprint's the only one before us, and you know, and yet this plot plan was submitted. Well, I guess Sprint, but it's for Seacoast Tower. So that's one. The other is whether, and I'm not sure, and that's why I'm glad we're discussing it so Mike can respond. I'm not sure Mike can go back. I don't know his relationship, because he's twice removed from Seacoast.
Well, not Mike, but.
Yeah, but somebody to say, okay, you know, we'd like to modify the special permit, but in doing so, we now realize that there are some safeguards and protections that we need to put in place.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I'm a little, I don't really like the access portion of it that I'm sure we will put this on Sprint because they're there before us. You know, what they're doing is fine with me, that, you know, whatever they're doing, that's all great. But just going there with the access, it could be anybody that could just go there with a key, do their thing, and we don't know who it is. So somewhere, unfortunately, the vehicle's mic through Sprint has to get back to Seacoast and say, we gotta tighten this up or this isn't gonna happen. I don't know how they're gonna do that, but somehow they're gonna have to get an answer for us. Do you have any thoughts?
I would echo Matt's sentiments about the plot plan, but my curiosity, just to bounce off the board, would that be requiring a continuance, or could that be administratively approved? If all of a sudden Cavos is there on the plot plan and whomever is sharing the site.
I think that's a great question, Mark, and I don't think that by us seeing anything on here, it will alter whether or not they put an additional array
Right.
on the tower.
Right.
I agree with you. On the other hand, if the site has become so complicated, and I can't say that it has, and this site plan, by the way, doesn't even show you the access to Route 151. And, you know, as we look at what activity is going on in that site, do we turn around and say the trucks or the people or the equipment or the vehicles servicing the tower have to restrict themselves to whatever? I mean, this is the opportunity to do that, but overall, I'd agree with you, and that doesn't, I'm not terribly concerned about that, you know, because it's a lease, and, you know, Seacoast can always turn to, what's the name of the entity? 210, no, he uses a different,
Safety
LLC.
trans.
Nathan Ellis
Oh, yeah,
Highway,
right.
LLC or something like
Right.
that. And,
Limited partnership.
you know, so I wouldn't necessarily hold it up for that, yeah, it would have to, but we have to have it in the file. I don't think we can just.
And I would agree with that. And my sentiment on that would be, I think it could be accomplished with an administrative approval, just my 2 cents. The other comment that I would make, Mike did mention that Sprint does have an existing bird policy. Possibly in the future, something to consider for the board in future modifications that are no doubt going to take place with technology advancements, that be a mandatory burden on the applicant to supply the zoning board with a stated documented policy. However, the complication dealing with multiple parties involved, and this leads me to my third point, I think we're all talking about accountability as far as security to the actual site for work or otherwise. That might be something that the zoning board might be able to steer in future applications as well. Who's our point person we contact in the event of? So we don't have to play, you know, telephone, or have to go put Mike through this.
Yeah, and sorry this on your time, but I think that raises a good point, and I think that, you know, as we have, you know, looked at some complicated issues, the board has looked at developing policies, and maybe at some point in the future, we can look at a policy for cell towers that we can give to an applicant that says, here are the things that the board is expecting in terms of security. I know that initially they go before the Cape Cod Commission. The Cape Cod Commission in this instance said I think they used the term de minimis. And again, I'm not perturbed at all. I'm not, you know, this request is rather benign, as I'm saying, but we're almost playing catch up with things that zoning boards probably didn't know that much about
Back
in
then.
2003.
No.
And as we've got more concerns about the security and safeguard of, you know, some of our telecommunications, the bird issues, et cetera, that the burden, if we don't take it up, we've lost the opportunity.
So one more question I would direct to Mike then. With your testimony saying that Sprint does have an existing bird policy, would it be possible to have some documents submitted to the file regarding that?
It would be, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's basically all my concerns and comments.
You have any thoughts on this, Ken?
Well, I mean, the only thing I'm thinking about is there are multiple carriers, so Sprint's policy, you know, doesn't necessarily ensure that, that, you know, wildlife is protected based on other people's policies. I wonder if we ought to have our own policy, which is sort of, I think, where you were going. And, you know, then each time this comes up, we'll have a uniform set of rules.
I would agree with
I certainly agree that this is a heavily used site, and there ought to be a more complete plot plan that shows all the uses so we can assess whether we're overburdening the site. That's basically what it comes down to.
No, I agree with you, but we can hold Sprint accountable because they do have their spot. Let's say there is an S up there, and that does get disturbed, but at least we'd be holding them to their own policy.
Right.
And I'm sure Mike does have it, you know, he said not to work on it before speaking to the tower owner, obviously Seacoast Tower Development, and if they don't have an answer, they require a biologist.
I think
I'd like to see that.
that's the key.
I'd like to see that somewhere.
That's the key, is Seacoast Tower. I think that's another thing Matt was sort of alluding to, is the initial special permit apparently was granted to them. Why aren't they before us?
In fact, in the two most recent cell tower requests before us, it was the tower owner, it was not an individual carrier. Because the question was to them, if we oppose something, then do all the carriers have to comply? And the answer was yes, they do. So this is sort of,
Yeah, they were representing the tower
Yeah.
people themselves,
right,
not
this is
just the
just
carrier.
representing a carrier.
So you want to wait till we get some of these
I
answers?
think that's what I'm hearing. That's what everybody seems to want to do. It's fine with me.
That's what I'm hearing as well.
Yeah, I think so. I do, and I think that, you know, maybe between this and whenever Mike can come back, because you know, I know obviously you represent Sprint, they'd like to get it done quickly, but there's no urgency in terms of we've got a health and safety issue or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay. And it's not like it'll be a year from now that we get back to it. But, you know, perhaps between now and then, and I'll ask the chairman, maybe the chairman and the administrator can get together and draft what might be a policy that we could then look at imposing, you know, whether it's that issue of administrative approval by the zoning administrator with construction timeline.
Not for this specifically, but
in the future.
But it could be
Yeah.
used for this specific,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it would be.
But, yeah, I totally agree with you, but,
But Mike, I mean,
Mike, yeah, I
for
know
him,
you'll be
his
coming
own
back with
policy and the plot plan would be
correct, those are the two
within
things we'd
his
be looking for.
control.
And I don't see where that'd be a problem.
And one other, if we could also ask Mike to go back and communicate with the owner to say, you know, they're talking about things that you might want to be involved in. And so, you know, maybe Seacoast Tower, you might want to have a representative here, or for them to give you their agency letter to bind them to some things.
And it doesn't come, from reading the file, excuse me, Sari, it doesn't come as a surprise, because Sari's been in contact with Mike and his office, knowing that this would come up. This was a hot button topic.
Right.
That's
So
what I
Sari,
was going to ask. When I contacted you about a bird policy, did you happen to contact Seacoast?
I did. And their policy was you don't go onto the tower if there's an active
But they
bird.
don't really have a written
They didn't
policy
have a
that
written policy
they
they
give any
could-
of the carriers.
Not one that they can
Therein
provide
lies
me.
the problem.
Exactly.
Although the other tower did, but, you know.
Yeah, but I think that's the issue, that if there isn't a policy to put into the file, and then we need to develop our own
Something that
guidance.
we can send them when they apply, or send to all.
And I don't think it has to be all that complicated. The things that we've said are, you know.
We'll put something together. I think we,
Accountability is the main.
yeah.
Yep.
So you
So,
need a motion to continue?
yeah, we're gonna look for a date. What's gonna work for us, Sari? December 4th?
How long do you think it's going to take you to get the information?
Something written for a bird policy from Sprint should not take very long at all.
And the plan?
The plan should not take very long at all. I mean, the sooner.
Yeah, I explained to you previously that there are things ongoing at Cabosa, and somebody out there,
Mhm.
contact Cabosa, may have a plan already
Okay.
that you guys could use.
Right.
Unless something's
My
due
only
on
issue
November 6th.
is, December 4th is the last hearing, and I'd like to wait for incoming applications. So if the board doesn't mind to put it on November 6th, would that be okay with all four of you, or are you going to? be
6
here?
o'clock?
I won't be here.
Or, okay, that takes that out of it, then.
Mark Cool will be out November 6th. And then, therefore, you would not have a quorum.
So December 4th?
I don't think I have anybody out on December 4th, but let me.
The 16th is only 2 weeks away, and I know that's a tough night.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a huge night. I hate to do that, but it looks like December 4th is going to be.
I'm sure there'll be something coming up by then.
Would it be possible to make this approval contingent upon providing this information and this documentation to you in a timely manner? December 4th is kind of pushing out our schedule to get on here.
Well, my reaction would be, and I can empathize with that, the plot plan to be submitted sufficiently.
Prior to building permit.
Yeah, is okay with me, but then I would have to offer our own policy tonight. Shouldn't a big deal. It would be administrative approval for any work being done on that tower. And I guess I'll go so far as to, if this is going to happen, because we don't get any feedback from Seacoast, I'd make the motion, I'm not making it just yet, but I would, that we modify the special permit to include that for all carriers. And then Seacoast is going to have to deal with communicating with all of the carriers. At least Sprint knows that now, but we get an updated plot plan, and we would then have a
They
policy.
get a copy of the
Yep.
modification, so
So
that would be something
So I'd be
that
willing to
they
go
would be made
along.
aware of.
Well, I can see Mike's point. Again, we're saying it's a benign request in many ways for Mike. I hate to hold him up, but I think these are important things. So if the board's open to that, I'd be willing to make that motion, which would be to modify the existing special permit to incorporate the request, including adding the cabinet at the base. It would be contingent upon a detailed site plan, a revised detailed site plan showing all existing permitted uses on the site, and that we institute a
Bird policy.
well, it's more than a bird policy, what we're
It's a
saying, because
chain of
it's some
command.
security
Yeah,
too.
it's a-
That a policy whereby any construction, I would have been more articulate if I knew this was going to happen. Any construction or activity that impacts the tower or the monopole would require administrative approval by the zoning administrator, including approval for a specific activity/construction timeline. We may not get the access to anyone that comes in and out if they're looking at a generator. This is for any activity related to the tower itself.
But do you want to
could
say
expand it.
construction activity or repairs?
I said construction/activity.
I know, I'm
Yeah.
just
And
thinking
Yep.
that it's a little more.
Yep, repairs is fine too.
I think that's good, but I think we gotta give them a window. Let's say they wanted to do it December 1st. You got 2 weeks to get whatever you gotta get done.
Well, what it allows our administrator to do, which is what we talked about, is that if the migratory bird season doesn't allow that, she gets advice from that from our own
DNR
department.
or whatever.
Yeah, whatever they're called these days. And she says, no, I can't approve that at this time. So it's,
How's that sound, Sari?
Good.
More work.
I mean, either that or, I think if the board is going to do a policy which may not affect this approval right now.
we could administratively modify this.
Contact Tom French to get some good language for bird activities,
Yep.
because sometimes I don't get timely responses, so,
Right, but I left it loose so that you could actually contact anyone
okay.
to get that
All
in.
right, as long as-
We didn't say, I said,
Okay.
and
As long
I
as I
didn't
have
restrict
that
it to even birds.
capability.
It's any activity, construction, repair,
Okay.
any activity
That's fine.
that has an impact on the tower or monopole requires administrative approval by the zoning administrator to include a specific construction, activity, repair timeline.
Because that's what we're all getting at anyway. But Mike, I'm still gonna wanna see your, what you referenced, your bird policy, you know, the dialogue that
Absolutely.
supplies Sari with that. So you wanna make a motion?
I
Matt?
did, that was-
Okay, so,
And-
Sure.
can you
and-
second that?
And to submit that bird policy prior to building permit application
Yeah,
as well.
this submit the bird policy and the site plan as I indicated before.
But we wanna close this hearing first?
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
So you-
I'll move to close.
I'll second.
Okay, so Mr. Cool and Mr. McNamara to close it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Unanimous?
Then I'll make that motion.
Okay, and you have that right, Drade, Sari? And seconded by Mr. Foreman. All those in favor say aye.
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 Unanimous. All right, Mike,
All right, thank you
get your
very much.
homework. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take those plans back.
Yep.
Just on that, I would suggest, because we have something else coming back on the 16th, maybe to work on something that would be more refined.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll throw my 2 cents in the bag.
No doubt.
Well, I think you lit the fire a while ago.
Okay, Mark, when you get a chance, could you read in application 72-14?
Okay. Application 7214. Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws, you are hereby notified that Lawrence J. Harverty III and Jean M. Harverty of Natick, Massachusetts, applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Section 240-3 of the Code of Falmouth to increase the below-grade garage, construct a deck, and remove existing steps in a portion of the structure on the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling located at 30 Otis Street, North Falmouth, Mass.
Good evening, Tom, how are you?
Jeez.
I'll share this with Andy.
Okay. Got one more.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker, DSS Design. We surveyed this property and prepared the plan for the Havertys. We have proposal adding, doing work, part of it is adding habitable space to a pre-existing non-conforming structure, which is at 30 Otis Street. It's non-conforming, one, by coverage. We have 34% covered by structures. Setbacks on 3 sides are non-conforming. And we have on Otis Street, the closest setback is 14.7 feet. In other parts, these steps here are 16 feet. On Marion Road, the closest is 13.6 feet to Marion Road here. And on the east side, the structure is 5.7 feet at its closest to the property line. What they're proposing to do, it's also non-conforming in height. It's calculated, it's 35.2 feet high from the existing grade across both street frontages here.
What's the height again, Tom?
35.2.
Thank you.
What they're proposing, you can see on the, I don't have the existing up here, but on the couple areas on the east side in the front by Otis Street, what I've shaded in green here, they're removing this portion of the structure. They'll be adding another bit, but on a smaller footprint in this location. This is a foot further from the property line, so it'll be a little bit improvement on this setback. From Otis Street, again, this area is being removed, but also these steps that face directly to Otis Street are being removed. And then there'll be a set of diagonal steps added on the corner, built-in setback into the porch. So for the Otis Street setback, the closest was 14.7 to these steps, 15.9 to these steps that are being removed. And that's now, the corner of these steps is 17.4. So that's a 2.7 foot improvement in the setback. On Marion Road, as I said, the closest point is the southwest corner of the house. It's at 13.6 feet from the street. The diagonal steps here, one corner is at 13.6, so we're not creating a new nonconformity or increasing nonconformity in this location. The main addition to the house, where habitable space is being added, is on the south side of this lot line. The existing setback to the building is 19.4 feet. So there is room to add on here. This area of porch is being expanded. This is a 2-level porch. So from here out on the first floor and on the second floor. Right here, steps will be added from the porch down to the ground in this location. And this ground area is currently porch, open porch, but it's to become enclosed as habitable space. That's the dining and the kitchen here this is currently the dining room. It's going to become an enlarged kitchen. It's not creating a new room. It's just expanding the kitchen here. On the second floor, there's some added space on the second floor, and this is a bay window up on the second floor. This location, so this area right here on the second floor is being added, and that area is the bay window of that second floor. Put it in the same orientation as the site plan a little bit. There's the porch here, a large kitchen here, stairs down, these new reconfigured stairs here, and this area here is powder room and pantry. Put in there. On the site, you see there's also where there was one space, it's a one-car garage. Currently, one car drive-under garage here. It's going to be expanded as in that to be 2 garage doors. Actually, this retaining wall has to be a little bit over further because there's also this other door here. It won't quite look like that because that's the section line along the building foundation, but the road is higher. The road plane is actually up here. So this drive is going down under. It's not all sticking up. Adding this space here, I believe there should be at least an email from engineering. They approved it. They reviewed this plan for the curb cut. They said it was fine. I talked with Dave Kerrigan, and there should be some new information there. One comment about the location of this septic system, and didn't change anything. I just added a note to reinforce what he wanted. It was already like that up on posts. It's open underneath, as you can see. His comment was you needed this 5 feet of clearance here, and that's just up on posts, not a foundation wall. To do this, the house will be temporarily lifted and a new foundation built under it and put back at the same height to add that garage. They can't obviously make the foundation higher. They're going to dig down to make the garage floor a little lower than it is. That's basically it. So I'd say basically the coverage by structure has been decreased by 13 square feet. So it's a slightly less coverage by structure. Some of the setbacks have been improved. Some of the non-conformity as far as setbacks have been improved. That is, the non-conformity has been reduced. I think architecture-wise, it's still it's in keeping with the character of the Megansett neighborhood, and will not be detrimental. There'll be no bedrooms to be added, not increasing traffic in the area. That's the presentation. I'll take questions.
Okay, Tom, hold on a second. I'm going to have Mark read the referrals into the record.
Engineering. Application was reviewed only for impacts of public right-of-ways, public utilities. Otis Road is a public right-of-way in this area. The proposed plan includes changes to the right-of-way, which could require filing a permit with the engineering division. Any connections or alterations to public utilities would require permission from the appropriate town department. The project must not direct any stormwater runoff to public property, abutters, or rights-of-way. Health. I might need some help on this.
Hieroglyphics there.
Just read this. He updated it as of today.
Okay.
So referral update.
Referral update, correspondence from Thomas
Bunker,
dated 9/25/14, and a revised plan dated 9/23/14 addressed the concern that the porch addition will prevent access to the existing
leaching
pit or consume scarce lot area. The 6 feet of separation between the porch and the final grade elevation is sufficient.
Good for you.
David Kerrigan. That was from Health.
H-E-A-L-T-H.
That's all the referrals, and I have one letter of support from William and Megan Bearse, and their address is 26 Otis Street, North Falmouth.
Okay, Mark, thank you.
Could I ask, Sergey, did you get an email from the engineering? Or some communication?
Engineering just had the original referral.
Yeah, after that referral came in, I submitted a curb cut permit.
I have nothing, no, and they generally don't contact me with a curb cut.
No,
Unless I request
he
it.
called me and said it was approved, and I asked if he could, send something out.
We'll get that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Ken, you have any questions for Tom?
Sure.
Sorry about that.
So the proposed driveway, it says pervious. Can you tell me a little more about the surface being used for that?
Tell you what the what?
Surface being
Oh,
used for the
surface.
proposed driveway.
Right now, it's just, as far as I know, it's just gonna be, the crushed stone.
And what's the grade going down going to be? Is there any issue with that?
Frankly, it's not steep, it goes down, currently it goes down, it's from 34.3 in this location down to 33.9. So it just drops slightly, I think it'll go maybe about six inches lower than that. It's not a steep drop in there.
And then there's an existing parking space that says to remain. What is that?
It's just a grassy area, there's just water.
Oh.
It's not paved or gravel.
So that's actually not going into the lot area calculation. Lot coverage.
It is, I mean, right, as a parking space, but that's something that I'm just noticing earlier today, that the lot coverage calculation went up by 0.9%. And we'll take that off. I did include, even though the pervious in this one is grass and dirt, I did include them because they are parking. But this would really be just a grassy area where they might sometimes park.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's a question of,
That wouldn't be required to be counted as lot coverage, would it?
maybe not, I mean, they park there often, and they'll probably park there less often now that they have two other places to park. It's a question of, is it parking or not? I mean, parking, whether it's paved or not, goes into the lot coverage calculation, as far as I know. But I know also at times, when it's said to be really pervious, then it's not necessarily included.
That's correct.
Right, that was my impression.
It's a Laudio's determination, and usually it's when they are designated parking, like at the garage and like that, it's the size of a vehicle, like generally 9 by 18 is what's figured into the lot coverage, not the whole gravel area, just the size of a vehicle.
Of the vehicle over the area.
Right, and that's what I have on here, 9
And
by
that's what you
18
have.
spaces shown on here. But you're saying that pervious area,
The grassy area, in the past, unless it's used constantly.
But it's sort of grassy gravel if you go out to the site.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was gravel at one point and it's been grass.
Grown over, yeah.
So that would
Gravel's
be
still
a Laudio's
pervious,
determination.
yeah.
But,
This is
But which-
railroad ties around it.
but you still have to calculate the 9 by 18 is what you did on that area.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way to make that lot coverage less.
well, we'd be willing to take the tie out, make it more grassy, not count it as a parking space, so that it doesn't have to show up here as a parking space for a special permit. Obviously, it might spill occasionally, but because now we'll have 2 garage spaces and 2 spaces outside of there, much less often used, or perhaps not at all. I mean, everybody has guests once in a while who may park
Park
on
on
the
the
lawn.
lawn, exactly.
But don't need this as a sort of a specially permitted parking space.
Okay, well, that would certainly, at least on paper, improve the application. That's it for me at the moment.
Okay, Mark?
The cesspool that's denoted on the site plan, what's the, I mean, just generally in your experience, what's the normal procedure if it appears abandoned or might be used for
Over on that
drainage?
side, yeah.
I mean, do they normally fill that in or remove them or
It should be.
crush them?
I mean, it should be. I couldn't figure out, though, whose it is. There seems to be couldn't see a pipe going to it. Could have been one of those, if it's a beehive, you can't always see in there, but it's dry.
All right.
It should be filled, and, maybe we can talk to, the Havertys and the other person and see if anybody knows anything about it. It should be for safety.
The site plan indicative of the current parking plan, the one that's, the parking space that's straddling the road, basically, I mean, it's off the road, but it's running parallel to the road. Have there been, or is there a record of any complaints in the neighborhood about that? Just out of curiosity. You're alleviating it by the plan, is what I'm saying, but I was just wondering.
In that neighborhood, people probably park along the street just about at every house.
But no documented complaints that you're
None that I
aware
know
of?
And yeah, we are alleviating that too, so.
Okay. In the office space upstairs on the second floor, was there any consideration given, let me start out by saying, is the planned bookshelf going to be ceiling to floor?
This is on the second floor.
Or I mean,
Which room?
I'm sorry, the attic floor plan. My
Attic
mistake.
bookshelves. No, it's not.
So it's not going to be ceiling to floor? And then, so my next question, was there any consideration given that to aligning that with the outer wall?
Would you like to speak?
Well, I mean,
Denise
I'm just,
McCall is there. I haven't
well,
considered it.
can you tell me the distance between the edge of the bookshelf currently rendered on the proposed plan to what appears to be a closet, or is that a utility shaft?
That's the chimney flue.
Chimney? Okay. Distance?
I'm not sure it's scale. Three and a half feet, it's just bookshelves up to.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a half bookshelf?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's basically it for now.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Matt?
Sure, hi, Tom. Tom, on the, while it's still sort of fresh, the increase in the overall lot coverage, parking, paving, structures, et cetera, is actually an increase. But if you were to eliminate that space, is it an increase? Does it get back down? Where are we with that?
It would be that's 162 square feet, so then it would be a net reduction in.
Could you just, I tried to keep up with you, and I have to confess I didn't. You said there were some improvements on the non-conformity. So Otis, you said was a 14.7 setback. Is that getting improved?
14.7 to 17.4.
And Marion?
There's no improvement there.
Okay. And what was the other one? You said to the east side, 5.7?
The east property line is going from 5.7 to 6.9.
Okay, thank you. Where you're taking and putting in a new foundation, why can't we get this height to conform?
I don't know that we can. I consult with the architect on that.
Well, I mean, it's just a question, you can,
Yeah. We could lower 2/10.
so it would be conform?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is this going to be used as a single-family dwelling?
Yes.
Okay. Has it been a designation of the front yard?
No.
Okay.
Eladio would, I didn't realize until this case, Eladio will not designate a front yard if neither front yards conform.
Okay. We don't want to impose on you anything about that. On the driveway, you said there was, a grade down. Have you planned for any drainage at those garage doors? Because beyond the garage doors is going to be some habitable space.
I'll have to put some in, a trench drain across, my big pervious would take on some, but certainly like after yesterday. I'll put probably a trench drain with the dry well under the driveway.
Okay. The basement plans shows a storage area in a family room. Is that storage area going to be unfinished?
Unfinished. Yes.
The porch. I couldn't tell by the plans, but when I was out at the site, one of the stakes indicated that the porch to be enclosed. So some of this porch is going to be enclosed.
Yes.
Okay. Now, and I think you indicated earlier that, yes, thank you. If you could flip it back because it might help me explain to you. You indicated on the porch above the reserve area for the septic system or the septic system or whatever else was actually going to be expanded out.
Yes.
All right. Is that expanded out porch included in the structure coverage?
Yes.
Okay. But we've got a net reduction in
Because of this is coming off here and here, and this is, and it is a slight reduction.
right, okay. Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Tom, just to get back to those dry wells and the trench drain, I understand you're doing that, but are you gonna be doing the same thing for any downspouts that are gonna be on the house? Controlling the runoff? I saw in the plan you might use that cesspool for that, but now it sounds like you're gonna abandon that.
No, I didn't, I mean, it currently might be used for drainage by the other house, not that I might
Okay.
use it.
Appears abandoned, although it might be used for drainage. So that's not the case for the proposed.
No.
So you plan on putting more dry wells? You know the sensitivity of Cedar Lake in that area, so I'm sure you're...
I hadn't planned on it since we're really not in, or there's a reduction in coverage, so I mean, we're not going to be increasing any runoff from the roof. I wasn't planning on it in that way, but if that were to be a condition of it, we could certainly put in dry
I even
wells.
think engineering made a comment with that, right, in their referrals?
Well, yeah, but it's just their general,
I think they usually refer to no, particularly when they're looking at a driveway, they don't want a driveway to go into the public right of way, which this isn't.
But you have no problems doing the dry wells? With that driveway, I know you're gonna do the trench drains down at the apron, but now, I mean, at the garage doors, is that apron, that approach, is that gonna be paved, so it's, you're not getting?
Yeah,
runoff?
I didn't have an apron on here.
Is there gonna be one on there?
You'd have to have a
Asphalt apron,
concrete apron.
concrete apron? And the bedroom count, what is it now, 4, and that's not gonna change?
That's correct.
Answer my question here. Is it gonna, do you have any plans for any accessory structures in the future? No? When's this work gonna take place? You know where I'm going with this. I can tell you when it's not gonna take place, but when do you?
The middle of summer is not going to take place?
Correct.
I imagine, I don't know, they want to probably do it as soon as, as soon as they get through all of this.
But not to
Winter.
take place during the summer months. Sure they'll-
Well, I wouldn't want that a condition. I mean, if they start out in the winter and they have to be finishing up in the summer, obviously if they get started, they'd want to do it in as short a time as possible.
But your answer, as soon as they get everything lined up, that's when they'd start doing their work, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And just to get back to that cesspool, you're gonna find out whether it's the owner's cesspool, and if so, you're gonna fill and abandon that, is that the plan?
We'll see if during this work we can work with the neighbor, and if they're not using it, then, yeah.
So it's the neighbors, you can't do anything with it anyway, right? They'll let you.
If it is, if the neighbor agrees that it's abandoned and nobody's using it, then I'm sure we can crush it and fill it while we're doing the work anyway.
It's not a question, and I hate to use a, throw a comment out there, but during the question phase, but I couldn't tell if that was actually whose it was, because I didn't see any stakes for the property, at least on that side, so.
Yeah, well, it's more on the neighbors, but it's, it's like old cesspools, they go wherever they want to go.
Where is it? Those stakes would have helped.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the sonotubes that the health department mentioned with the posts. Would you say that's going to be 6 feet? I think I read 6.4 somewhere. Is that more accurate?
to the floor.
Much clear. 6.4 feet separation, yeah.
I think that's it for me. Does anybody got any further questions for Tom? Suri, you have any questions for Tom? You're all set. Anybody from the public want to speak on this application?
I just have a couple of questions.
You step up, introduce yourself, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Lori Leitner, and I'm at 30 Marion Road, and it was only because I couldn't see past you as you were pointing and just...
If you could just address the board, ma'am, we'll try to get your
Oh, okay.
questions answered. Thank you.
All right, so what I'm interested in looking at is that, in essence, this garage is the garage that is there now. And enclosing the porch, how much of this is new extension off the house? Because there already is a deck off the third floor. And how much of this goes past where the current house currently is today? Is this kind of the line, or?
Tom, you understand the question?
This new porch here,
Which is off this side?
yes, 7.5 feet.
Okay, so it's not very far off here.
Yeah, from
This is kind of where?
from this line up.
From this line, okay, so this line
Seven and a half
is
feet.
7.5 feet, and then this is all new coming out, because the
Yes.
first floor now is pretty flat.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And so this is coming in. So in essence, you've got more height or more third floor coming off this way than is today. Right?
Yes.
This is like it. I think.
Ma'am, could you stand at the lectern, because zoning administrator can't see, I can't see, and people can't hear you at home.
Okay.
Thank
well,
you.
that's fine. And so I think you agreed earlier that the house wasn't going to be any higher.
Actually,
So terrific. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak on this application? You guys want to discuss this application? Ken, you want to start us
Well,
off?
I mean, I have, you know, they've improved some modestly, some of the setbacks. They've agreed to lower the house so that it conforms that way. Certainly a very attractive plan. I don't have any problems. I would love to see them eliminate the existing parking space, the extra parking space, so that we could get the lot coverage down.
Turn that into just
And
total grass.
Total grass, and I think Tom's right, probably if it's not used with any frequency, it doesn't need to be on there realistically. So, those are my thoughts.
Mark?
I would agree with Ken. I would like to have Tom follow up, whether it be administratively or otherwise, coordinating with the neighbor with regard to the cesspool. And you've already showed willingness to, if it belongs on your property, to crush and fill. The dry wells, I was out there in the midst of the rain, stupid me, yesterday. And around the house, I was walking around because I wanted to see exactly where the portion of the house was going to be removed. And actually, I didn't see any standing water. So I think, for all practical purposes, in my site plan observation, the stormwater system as it exists out right now is adequate.
What system did you see?
Just the gutter systems running down into the eaves, or off the eaves into the gutters, into the ground, and I didn't see any pooling. And it was pretty significant because I was pretty wet afterwards. Let's see, I did a little, Sari, if I can ask you a question, is it Eladio's call with regard to the parking space? It's shown on the one that...
His practice is to calculate 9 by 18, if it's a constant parking space that's gravel, on the grassy front yard, and if it's not consistently used. I know in 2 other cases that wasn't counted, that was in Woods Hole, but
I think...
I mean, it really is up to the board. If it's calculated in the lot coverage and the board wants that to be removed and create grassy area, then you have that right to do that.
I think the testimony given was that now that you're basically
You've
having...
got 4 parking
four
spaces now.
parking spots, I would say, yes, remove it, because throwing out your calculation, it reduces your lot coverage per structure, parking, and paving.
So you're agreeing with Ken?
Yes. And let's see, what else? That's basically it.
Matt, you have any thoughts?
No, I've got a substantial number of conditions that I'm sure the board will put into their actions, and I might support.
But the project itself...
The project, just a quick comment. At first I found it to be overwhelmingly large, but it's overwhelmingly large to begin with. I think if this were an application to begin with for new construction in terms of lot coverage and our bulk issues, that addition on the 3rd floor would be problematic to me, but I think it's already there, it's already large. This is a house that easily could become more than one dwelling, and that's why I wanted to ask the question whether or not its use was, single-family dwelling. So I think there are enough safeguards we can put into this that we can do it. I do think, though, that the drainage issue is an important one because we've had so many applications, so many concerns that the neighborhood has raised in that Narragansett area about the water table, the water level, Cedar Lake, et cetera. And again, we have an opportunity to do it now, we lose that opportunity later. So, with yesterday's rain, it may not have turned out to be a problem, but I think you're disrupting the property, you're digging up a foundation, you're putting a new one in.
Might as well.
It's not a cost. So it's a level of protection for that area. So, but I think it's a project that we can.
No, I agree with it. And like Tom stated, there's a lot of give and take on, tearing some stuff off, adding new here, piecing it back together. So even though he did say it's 13 square feet decrease, somehow he figured it out. I got faith in Tom. So, no, I agree with you. So,
All right,
While we're with discussion, though, I do want to echo what you said. It's problematic when we don't have it state completely, and it's, I'm not going to say it's the first, how many times we've mentioned it to Tom, but we've mentioned it a lot. And that I think sometimes the only way we're going to get that to happen is that we're going to have to start continuing applications when they're not state properly. And it was really difficult to try to figure out, how much space.
so somebody want
Okay, so first we need to move to close, which I'm happy to do.
to, Mr. Foreman, Mr. McNamara, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. And you were going where with this, Ken?
So I said I would be happy to make a motion to approve with all of Matt's conditions.
I knew as soon as I was cute. That would happen.
I could start with the findings, though.
Go ahead, jump right,
Did anybody second?
Yes.
I'll-
Marked it.
Who did?
Mr.
I will.
Cool. And so, go ahead,
Mark,
Ken.
you do it.
Here's
so-
the findings.
So findings are modest reductions in the setbacks on which side? The applicant said that they would be willing
I'll
to.
put that in there, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It's Otis and on the east side.
Yeah.
And that the applicant has agreed to remove parking, additional parking space, and to reduce slightly the height of the foundation so that the building will conform with respect to height. And I guess
Stormwater,
yeah, well,
the trench drains and the stormwater,
Mhm.
that was a finding.
Yeah, actually. that could
No
be
increase in the bedrooms, 4. Meets requirements of 242-16.
yes, that's the
Good, Mark, you got a
Meets
little list
now
there?
with Tom's agreeing to take away that 0.2%. It's in compliant with 240-70, the height requirement.
No, just the
Right.
point that he's
A reduction.
lowering
No, just that he's
the
reduced,
house
Yeah, he's lowering
approximately
the
2/10.
of a foot.
which then makes it in conformity.
Well, I think what we'll do is a condition that will require it to be no higher than
we'll probably end up doing as.
But it's not a finding that there was
No,
testimony?
he didn't
It's
say
a
it.
reduction,
He said he
it's a
would-
reduction in nonconformities.
Okay. Is it a finding that then the lot coverage by a structure, pavement, and parking then becomes conforming?
We don't-
They actually don't.
Quite no.
The coverage is still non-conforming because it's over 40.
But it would be reduced.
But that's why the catch-all is, the finding is that there is a reduction in the non-conformities,
Okay.
including the lot coverage and setbacks.
All right.
List those.
and height?
Finding the storage area below the main steps on the corner, we're going to be just used for storage.
Is that per plans?
Yes.
That'll come under the conditional
That'll go
per
on.
plans.
Okay.
So
All right.
how about, safety of the site will improve due to that additional parking, that driveway? Being that they're not coming off on that,
If the board feels that way, you could put that in there.
what do you think of that
I
as
don't
a
know if
finding?
it's a safety issue. You didn't mention that as
No.
much as you did lot coverage. You never mentioned safety.
Safety,
so-
yeah. Hmm. Okay, Matt? You have any fill in the blanks on these
Note the
findings?
findings, I think you did a great job.
I think Ken did a great job. So
Yeah,
Ken,
thanks.
jump right into conditions then.
So,
I'll start you out per plans.
as per plan, yeah.
No.
Well, as per plan modified.
Per
With
revised
Tom's
plans.
corrections.
That's fair enough. But Matt had some ideas, so let's just hear what you can say.
All right. Per revised plans, which basically is to address the grassed area, eliminating the parking.
Since the board doesn't have those revised plans, what I usually do is list the plans, entitle them,
Yep.
that the board reviewed and everything. And then the second condition would be a revised plan must be submitted
There you go.
prior to building permit, if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely. And that plan also, not only will remove the parking space, but it will also have the recalculation of the lot coverage on it.
Yeah.
The dry walls, the paved apron, whatever else. is brought up.
So going on with the conditions, drains to be installed at the garage doors, the dry wells for runoff from gutters, the height to be reduced so that it is no taller than 35 feet.
I think we'll need an as-built at that point.
What?
Oh, go ahead, Matt, I didn't mean to.
That's all right.
Nope.
The storage in the basement to be unfinished, no accessory structures. I think those were the things that I wrote down.
You touched on the
You don't
trench
really
drain.
condition a number of bedrooms.
Oh, yeah, well, that would be per the
No more.
plans, 4
No
bedrooms.
more than 4
But,
bedrooms.
yeah, 4 bedrooms. Yeah, the question, I sort of quickly hesitated there is, something, typically we say no sleeping accommodations in the basement. This is such a living area in the basement already, it's, but that's an option, so that and the as-built are things that we want to consider.
Did you get the as-built as a condition
No, as-built showing.
for that height?
And that's.
Well, also, I think
That's
that
post-construction, correct? So you
I
can
think
see
also
all
the
setbacks.
setbacks, I mean, we're talking 1 foot improvement in setback. So, I think it is worth getting.
Setback and height?
Setbacks, height, and lot coverage.
Yeah.
And did you want to do no sleeping accommodations in the basement and the attic?
In the attic, in the office.
Well,
What's
I
it say?
put no bedrooms to be created, but you limited it to 4. So do you want to put no bedrooms created in those areas? Is that what you?
I would rather
Well,
have
that'd be
that.
per plans then, right?
Yeah. It's just,
The plans do show the 4 bedrooms on the second floor.
Do you want to, just that condition,
Yeah,
4 bedrooms only?
I sort of left it up to the board. I said, my reaction was it's such habitable space as it is right now. It's, so I'm happy with the per plans,
Okay.
no more than 4
Yeah.
bedrooms.
Is that okay with?
yes.
Yeah, no, I
because
think that's, it's all right.
Since I'm making the motion.
You see anything we're missing, Siri, in that laundry list there?
No, we've got 9 conditions, plus
Seems like a lot of
The
conditions.
standard
I think we're
ones.
good.
Okay, so that was Mr. Foreman.
That
and
would be
Mr.
my motion.
Mr. Cool then. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, take a 5-minute recess. Reading the meeting. Matt, when you get a chance, will you read an application 7314?
Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 48 of the Massachusetts General Laws, you are hereby notified that Alfred Stimson and Roberta O'Brien Stimson of West Simsbury, Connecticut, applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Sections 243C and 24068D of the Code of Falmouth to construct a second-floor addition to the pre-existing non-conforming 1.5-story, 2-bedroom, single-family dwelling on the subject property located at 176 Grand Avenue.
Thank you, Matt. I'll take those from you. Nope, give those to Matt. He'll stamp those in.
I'll take them.
Thank you.
For the record, Raul Lizardi from Homes and Graph. We're the engineers and land surveyors for the applicant. With us tonight is also representing the architect, Rescom Architectural Inc. We have Bob Katarius here with us. The application before us tonight is for a pre-existing non-conforming development. It's a residential property, a single-family house. The non-conformity refers to a setback to the waters of Nantucket Sound, which in this case happen to be the waters of Little Pond, elevation 3.0. The entire structure does not conform to the setback. The minimum setback required is 50 feet. The closest corner of the existing development is 10 feet to that elevation 3. The proposed project is to keep the existing footprint of the existing structure, modernize the house, and go up in stories. We're going to add an attic to the proposed remodeling work. Inside, the interior work is going to be flipping the living quarters from the upstairs to the first floor and the living areas from the first floor to the second floor. Outside, the improvements that are happening, we're proposing new drainage system for roof runoff. Currently, there are no gutters and no downspouts, so all the runoff goes sheet flowing from the grass areas to the waters of Little Pond. The site is currently serviced by a 2-bedroom design Title V system. The existing dwelling is a 2-bedroom dwelling. It will remain as a 2-bedroom dwelling. The biggest improvement to the resources here will be forthcoming in 2015, which is the expansion of the town sewer that will encompass this area around Grand Ave. So this will be one of those houses that will be tied into that improvement to the town. And again, all the improvements are happening within the footprints of the existing structures, simply just remodeling the interior of the house and then going up in the upper levels. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, Raul, stay right there. I'm sure we do. Matt, will you read the referrals?
Engineering, review for impacts on public rights of way, their standard comments. From the Board of Health, no change in footprint, no change in bedrooms, no objections. I had no trouble reading that at all, Mark. And those are the only referrals that we have. And there is a copy of the determination of applicability from the Conservation Commission. That's it.
Thank you, Matt. Mark, you want to start us off?
Hey, Rio. My question to start out was, you gave a 28.4 being the height of the building, the new structure. What's the existing height?
I do not have that information.
So I was trying to get a relative on the site visit. I was trying to picture how, from what's currently there to 28 feet.
So you want to step up?
We don't have the right exact elevation, but it's about elevation 20.
About 20?
No, I'm sorry, elevation 20 now? 20 feet off the ground.
Okay, so there would be only an increase of 8 feet.
Yes.
8 feet 4. And is there any intent to build an accessory building, a shed or anything on the property?
No.
Is it for me right now?
All right, thanks, Mark. Ken?
The moment, I don't have a question.
Mr. McNamara, do you have any questions?
David, I don't at the moment either.
Okay. Raul, you said it's not expanding the footprint, correct?
That's correct.
Bedroom count's going to remain the same, that's 2?
That's correct.
I think you said you're going to do, on the plan, trench drains. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Right.
In a narration, I saw trench drains and dry wells, but it seems like you're going to do the trench drains, so.
In this particular case, we call it dry well because it is servicing as a dry well. It's just to connect the roof, the new roof downspouts. Currently, there are no downspouts. We'll be proposing downspouts for the new construction and directing it into these trenches, which are working as dry wells.
And you're doing that, what, just because of groundwater type thing?
Right, groundwater is estimated around elevation 1.6. The grades here are very low to the ground. It's probably, grades are elevation 6 and 5s, so we don't have a lot of separation to groundwater. So we go on something shallow rather than using a deep 4 foot or 4.5.
And you feel confident that's going to work?
Yes,
Okay. And the septic system's only for a 2-bedroom, is that correct?
that is correct.
Raul, if you look at your site plan, it's Lot 2. Is that just the name of that lot, or is there 2 lots on this property?
It's all one lot. It's labeled Lot 2. Here on the graphic, it's all of this, and includes a salt marsh.
So part of that 15950's the salt marsh.
That is correct. The
So-
upland portion is noted on the plan as 9,500 square feet.
And what portion's that? Just show me.
Right, so this delineation here shows the salt marsh. So anything north
Above
of
that
that
line?
is upland,
So anything above that's 9,500 square feet.
approximately 9,500 square feet.
Okay, thank you. Do you know if there's anybody has any view easements?
There's no view easement in the records of this property.
And I saw in the file something about the driveway, that's going to remain gravel, but I think someone had a issue with the driveway coming actually to the house. That's going to get corrected? It's going to go to the garage now?
There's an existing garage, and currently there's a driveway that goes to the existing garage, and that remains to be the same. We're not proposing to change the surface. It's a gravel surface that grass has started to grow through it. We're proposing it to remain the same as gravel. We're not changing the alignment. We're not changing the grading on the driveways. No proposed changes on that. I haven't heard any comments about the driveways.
Okay. Let's see. And you have you gotten approval from conservation yet?
There was a request for an RDA applied with conservation, and they approved it.
They approved it?
They approved the RDA. There's a copy in the records.
That proposed reconstructed deck, is some of that going to be enclosed?
No, the deck is not, there's a port, I'll take that back. There's a portion proposed to be a screen.
I do have one question.
It's all open. There's just going to be roof because the second floor is going to have a deck over it,
So not enclosed?
but not enclosed.
And I think it was that idea, I saw something regarding the overhang, that's not counted towards habitable space. What's that for, the lot coverage figure? Why was that in there? I saw something about the overhang. Does that count towards lot coverage?
I haven't seen it. Overhangs in excess, I believe, of 3 feet counts towards lot coverage.
Is that the case here?
The decks on the second floor are overhanging, but they're still overhanging existing decks in the first floor, which already were counted
Okay.
towards the lot coverage.
I got you. Okay, I think that's it for me for now, Raoul, but Ken, you had another question?
I did finally have a question, which, you mentioned an attic. Could you tell, I don't see anything on the plans that shows the configuration of that. Is that just an open space? Is it finished in any way? Is it heated? Is it?
Right. The attic, what it is, currently, just using these elevations as an example, the existing house finished ends up somewhere in here. So from this point on, everything is attic. It's not going to be heated. It's not going to be finished. It's just unfinished attic. And that whole portion will be a whole expansion of the height of the
Right.
structure.
What's the height of that
So
attic?
that's above the second story. The second story ceiling ends at about where your finger is.
Somewhere around here is where it ends.
And
this
what's
is
the
going up.
access to that attic? That shown, that must be shown on the second floor.
Pull downstairs.
Pull downstairs?
And what's the height of that attic?
6'6".
So, for storage essentially,
Yes.
but not heated. Okay.
Matt, you had a few follow-ups?
Just quickly following up on that one, not heated, so no habitable space on.
No
on the
habitable
attic,
space.
okay. Is there a basement?
There's a crawl space.
Crawl space. The foundation, what is that constructed out of?
I think it's concrete,
Okay.
reinforced concrete.
This is a substantial change to this dwelling, and yet it's not a tear down and reconstruct. So have you had a structural engineer take a look at this to see whether or not this can all be supported?
The architect is in the process of getting that.
Okay. And could you just run over those nonconformities in the existing structure right now?
Is the setback to the waters of the Vineyard Sound, in this case, Little Pond, its elevation 3.0.
So is that the only one, the setback to the
Right.
waters?
It meets lot coverage, meets side setbacks, it meets
Okay.
front setbacks.
Okay. Now, this will only lead to whatever happens with a condition or et cetera. Is there enough space to have, if the house were torn down and rebuilt, and I know that's not your proposal, could it become conforming?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Raoul,
Thanks.
is there any other properties in that little vicinity that are gonna be 28.4 feet in height? Because when I was doing my site visit, it seemed like they were all ranches and one
That
and a
are
half.
going to be or
Yeah,
that are?
Oh, I mean, excuse me, that are.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Did you have another one, Mark?
Conservation Commission, have you had to go to them?
Right, we went through them with an RDA, and it's been approved.
Okay.
It's in the file.
Siri, do you have any questions? Is anybody in the, go ahead, ma'am. Introduce yourself, please.
Doris Kelly, 173 Grand. I said, I wanted to know when they're going to do the construction, and I think the driveway issue is really the neighbor, part of the driveway is on the neighbor's land. I believe over here. And then the third one is, I'm a little concerned about the height. Just in relative to the neighborhood, it seems very high compared to the other structures that are there. Those are just my 3 issues.
So 173, where's that in relation to this property?
It's on his inside corner. Red and that one goes.
Okay. Do you have the one set back, that white one?
The white one, yeah.
Okay, I'll try to get
Yep.
some answers for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Raul, when you're going to start construction, and can you address that driveway? It doesn't appear to be on the neighbor's property, but maybe it is.
The location does crosses the corner of the abutting property. The corner we're talking about is this corner here. The property, as depicted on the plans, is property owned by Kenneth and Suzanne Rick.
I hate to do this to you, but I cannot see that at all.
Yeah, on the
I
side
see
plans,
the side.
the corner I was talking about is this little triangle of the driveway does encroach onto an abutting property.
Is that going to get corrected?
I'm sure we can correct that. We're talking about, hold on. We're talking about shifting that driveway in this corner 4 feet with a sweep. And I'm sure based on all the construction that's going to happen, that's something that's minimum to an improvement on the site. It'll be 4 feet to get this piece of triangle, which is 4 by, it's about 20 square feet out of the neighbor's property. Construction, it's expected to begin as soon as we get all the necessary permits. So the sooner we get the permits, the sooner the construction is going to start.
What's the attic used for? Or going to be used for, I should say.
Just storage, it's not going to be finished, it's not going to be heated.
Is that the only spot you have storage?
No basement.
There's
I
no
mean, I know
basement.
there's a crawl space, but
That's the issue.
I'm just trying to think of a way, maybe, okay.
It's not considered habitable because of its height.
Considered real tall, though.
Pardon me?
No, thanks.
6'6" isn't habitable space.
No, I'm saying the overall.
He said 6'6".
Yes.
Numbers don't match though.
Anybody have any other questions?
I do not.
You want to discuss this a little bit then?
Sure.
Well, I do have another question, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm a little, you said the attic height was going to be 6'6".
Right.
Walk me through, since you know better than I, on page A2. You have an attic elevation, say right at the top.
Go ahead, introduce yourself, sir.
Bob Paterius, architect from Rescom.
Yeah.
May I answer the,
Let him finish his question.
okay.
It says attic elevation 24.4 and 16. And then, so the total height of the structure is going to be 28.4. So how do you get 6
The
foot?
6'6" is to the bottom of the roof structure supporting the roof. There is space above that 6'6", but there's no habitable space up there.
Okay, all right. You're the architect.
Those-
Thank you.
They're collar ties connecting the roof and securing it all together.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Okay. Somebody want to,
I moved the last one.
what's that?
No, we're going to have a discussion.
Yeah, we're going to discuss it now.
Oh, yeah. Discuss it. I'll start.
Go ahead.
Realizing now, after the question was posed as to the existing height of 20, approximately, and then 28, I'm a little torn as to what that does related to the rest of the neighborhood. As David mentioned, for all practical purposes, that little hamlet of bungalows are all 1 or 1.5 story, with one exception, which is kitty corner directly across the street. So that's where my concern is right now, is, is it too much? That's what I'm thinking.
I'll jump in right behind
Go ahead.
Mark. My first reaction to it was, is this in keeping with the neighborhood? I know as you go further down on the ocean side of Grand Ave, things are a lot larger, but depending on what you define a neighborhood, if this one in the middle of the two bookend little houses that are there, and they then become, in essence, I know zoning bylaw doesn't say 3-story, but really we're talking 3-story, houses. It dramatically changes it. And I think the question on the view easement wasn't whether Raul found one on this property,
Whether
it's
somebody else
on
had
somebody
one.
else. But given the fact that no one is here other than one person who's questioned about the height, but at the same time, I must say I'm a little bit uncomfortable, like Mark, in terms of the dramatic change because of the height. The other thing, I'm just mentioning, the reason I asked the question about if it were torn down and rebuilt, could it be conforming? The answer was no. Makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about saying, okay, we'll get that structural engineer's something in the file, but it doesn't have to be prior to a decision if you go along with it, because if it's not like it could be, although it could be potentially improved, just not conforming. But it's older construction, foundation to support all of this. It always does sort of worry me.
Just let me jump on the, I think you both are getting at bulk, basically. I agree with the two of you. That's why I asked what was going on in the attic. And I know Sari did say it was 6'6". I was talking the overall on the house, basically elevation. It does seem like a lot. It's nice to have, whatever you need for the 2-bedroom home, but if you just need it for storage, I'm sure there's some spots you can reconfigure somehow without having a 28.4 height home. Just seems like a lot to me on that, and like Raul said, they're only really using 9,500 square feet of a lot, so it's a teeny little lot on, with this big house. And like you said, if it was down the road another block, probably be in with all those, old captain's house, whatever those are, that were already big, that they're just pretty much redoing. So I'm inclined to agree with the two of you.
The one that Mark referenced that's sort of kitty cornered to the south was one that
next to Doris, probably, yeah.
did not require any permits from this board, because otherwise we probably would have asked,
But just as a matter of reference, I wanted to make it a point that that something does exist that
right.
has...
No, I agree. But I'm just saying that, if anyone thinks, oh, well, the zoning board allowed one already, it wasn't anything. But, just picking up on I think there is need for storage. Whether, and what was very interesting to look at that plan is that so much, the ceiling ended at, on the second floor, and then there's so much up above that is just, it may be architecturally pleasing on one level, but, is it necessary for storage, et cetera? Probably not. A shed on this yard for storage might be aesthetic, or never mind the aesthetic piece of it, but might satisfy any storage and not create all of the height and bulk. I don't know.
I see a big house on that teeny little lot myself.
And I think you raise a good point that the real useful lot is small.
Ken, you have any feelings on anything?
You know, I will defer to you guys on this one, but I just feel they're not bumping up against 35 feet. There's, so, could have put a substantially larger home on there. I suspect we'll see significant number of increases in the neighborhood once the sewering is done. But
Yeah, that's
so, you know, I'm always a fan of trying to reduce impacts, but
All right. Raul. It's going to take a unanimous decision.
Right.
You've heard us discuss this. You're thinking, what are you thinking?
I've been talking it over with the architect. It looks like in keeping with the neighborhood is one of the items that needs to be complied with in order for you guys to vote on approving a special permit. And it looks like, based on the opinion that we're getting from this conversation, is that this project is not in keeping with the general neighborhood. Just talking with the architect, we feel comfortable we can easily reduce the height by 2.5 feet. We're still below the maximum height limitations. We still get some storage space in the attic. Maybe not with this particular side elevation configuration, because a 2.5 feet reduction will change that roof pitch. But it will still comply with what the applicant would want as storage in an attic, and some of the looks that they're trying to look in this new house. It will bring it up from an existing roof ridge of around 20 to like 25.5 instead of 28. So we're talking about, in the horizon, just an increase of maybe 5 feet. And if the board feels more comfortable with that, and that being more in keeping with the neighborhood, we can easily submit revised architectural elevations to that reduction on the overall height of the proposed house by 2.5 feet.
I can't speak for everybody, but 2.5 feet's not going to do it for me. I just see, like Mr. McNamara said, it's pretty, almost, even with that, it's going to be close to a 3-story, even though we don't have those, but that's what's going to appear. And like Mr. Poole said, you're around ranches, 1.5-story homes. Granted, other people could build up, but you're right at the end, it's right there at the water, you're in a, you know.
In that case, I will have to ask for a continuance to discuss with the client to see how much are they willing to cut back from their intent. Because keeping a kind of like the ranch style they currently have may not be suffice for what they want to improve.
No, I totally understand, okay.
David, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, could you point out on the architectural right now where 2.5 feet might be? Is it that lower ridge line? Yeah, so it's right where, yeah, exactly, yeah. I'd have to say probably, I'd agree with David. It sounded good, and I appreciate your willingness to do that. Not sure it looks as good as it sounds.
I agree with Raul. I think it's safer to talk to the client, see what they want, you know. They
So
will
I
wanna
would
do that.
request
So-
a continuance.
So, looking
Can
like
I-
December 4th again.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask something else?
Go ahead.
In this, when it's going to be continued, I would like, just for numbers' sake, an actual existing height of the house. Because, I mean,
It's so difficult. I mean, what you just did right now is fine and well, and it doesn't look like that significant. But if you put it up against what's there now, and that's what I'd like to see. And that's what, on my site visit, I tried to imagine, but, you know.
You didn't like the plus or minus 20 feet, you want to know an exact
Right.
number. Yeah, okay.
Could I also make another suggestion that would be very helpful? Thank you for the photographs. This is always very helpful. I think in tough cases like this, and you may have seen it, Raul, that to have somebody, it doesn't have to be a professional rendering, but draw what it might look like over, particularly the height. You know, when you look at this one here, and not this one, the next one, you have another house right there. This one here. To have a sense of where that ridge line is going to be. On any of these, anything that can help the board visualize, and any of the neighbors as well, could be useful.
So, Siri,
And if you are coming back, I think that the driveway encroachment, just keep that in mind too.
so Siri, we're looking at December 4th. I know you hate to throw stuff that spot,
We didn't, we actually approved the sprint one.
oh yeah, we did, oh yeah, that's right.
So November 6th, would that not give you enough time?
Yes.
well, do I need to be here?
Oh, that's right, Mark has to be here, so it is December 4th. Excuse me.
December 4th, so,
Sorry.
Mark, you want to make that motion then?
I make the motion that we continue Appeal 7314 to December 4th.
Seconded by Mr. Foreman.
Sure.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
At
Unanimous.
6:30?
6:30, yes.
6:30.
Could I just make a quick comment for Ms. Kelly's sake? Our office is open, that you could always look at these files beforehand and any drawings that come in so that, you get a chance to talk with our administrator beforehand. Okay? Thanks, Earl.
There you go, Mark.
It's such a, well, this is, the footprint's the same, but they have this tiny range. With no garage, that height is nothing.
And Matt, when you get a chance, could you read an application 7514?
If you'd like me to do that now, I will.
Is this your chance?
It could be.
You ready?
All right. Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 48 of the Mass General Laws, you are hereby notified that Jill Park of Montrose, Virginia, applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Sections 243C and 24068A8 of the Code of Falmouth to construct a one-car garage in the front yard no closer than 50 feet to the front property line with living space on the second floor, and to convert shed attached to the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling into a closet on the subject property located at 6 Pondlet Place, Falmouth, Mass.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Ahmed, before you begin, I think I saw in an email that I briefly looked at that you were gonna, Ms. Park was gonna submit something saying you represent her.
You're right, absolutely.
So
And I have
Mr.
the form
McNamara
for
will
her to
take
sign,
that off
but I
your list.
haven't had her do it yet. So I'm going to ask Ms. Park, are you the applicant, Jill Park?
Yes, I am.
Do you consent to my representation tonight? Thank you, and I'll get something out for her to sign as well, but you now have it on the record.
Then go right ahead. Your 15 minutes starts now.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, as you know, I'm Bob Ament, and I'm an attorney, and I represent Ms. Park, who says I should call her Jill tonight. Jill bought the house at 6 Pondlet Place in Falmouth 5 weeks ago today. Her family has long ties to Falmouth, and she's moving here, has moved here. The application for you tonight is for permission to build a one-car garage. The only place to put it on the lot really is in the front yard. It would be 50 feet away from the street. And the second part of the application is to slightly increase the size, but not the footprint. So just the height of an area where there's a shed in the back of the house. Before I turn to that, and I'd like to just take care of that because it's so simple, I'll just tell you that the engineer is Mike Borselli, who's here tonight. The plans for the structures have been done by Bill Roslansky of Woods Hole. So first, there is an existing shed on the back corner of the house, and it's depicted right here. I have a couple of photographs of it to give you. They're not expensive color photographs, but they do tell you really what you need to know. It looks like it's part of the house, but it's an exterior shed. And the proposal is to increase the height of it a few feet, as shown on the drawing that's right below the existing elevations, so right here. You have these plans. And to access that as part of the interior space from the house for a closet or for a washer and dryer. Now, I believe that that's actually a request that, if that were all that we were doing tonight, could be approved administratively under your rules, Section 5.05C of the board's new procedural rules. But we're here for a special permit, so you can approve it. That slight increase in the height of the structure as part of your special permit. It doesn't move the structure closer to any setbacks at all. So, certainly now or later, if you have questions about that increased height to the back corner of the house, I'd be happy to answer them. The house is non-conforming. It's on a 15,000 square foot lot in residential B zoning district. A portion of the deck on the west side of the house next to the Zaltis property is presently 8.1 feet from the sideline, so that's non-conforming. There'll be no change to that. There are no changes to the house at all, except what I've already described. No changes to the exterior of the house. There'll be some interior renovations which are not relevant to the special permit application, though you do have the plans before you showing what those changes will be. So let me turn to the question of the garage. In order to have an accessory structure in a front yard, the Zoning Board of Appeals has to grant a special permit, and the proposed structure can't be closer than 50 feet to the street. So what's proposed is a garage 16 feet wide by 24 feet deep. This is it, with a fenced shower enclosure on a back corner. And it's located 50 feet back from the street. There is some living space shown above it, 192 square feet total, but some of that is less than 5 feet in height. I think that it measures around 140 square feet of living space that Jill intends to use as for sewing, as a sewing area, which is her hobby. It, however, could be used as a bedroom. That's not her intention, but under Title V, it needs to be considered as such. The initial plans submitted to the board, which the plans that you have, actually show a 4-bedroom septic system. There are 4 bedrooms existing in the house itself. So the addition of this space above the garage requires 5-bedroom septic system, and I'm going to submit to you now plans that show a 5-bedroom septic system. These were prepared, I guess, about 3 weeks ago by Mr. Borselli, but they haven't been submitted to you, but he was aware that we needed that, so I have that. I'll submit these to you. Also, thank you. Those plans also show one correction on the plans. The plans that were filed indicated that the flood elevation was 12. That was a editing error. It is under the new flood maps elevation 13 area, and the map I've just submitted to you corrects that. The property is in a flood zone. It's in an A zone, not a velocity zone. No portion of the lot is in a velocity zone, but it's an A zone, therefore, for that reason, subject to Conservation Commission jurisdiction. Also within 100 feet of this line, top of coastal bank, that's in Conservation Commission jurisdiction. An application will be filed for a permit to the Conservation Commission. It's actually going to include a coastal management revegetation plan. If you've been to the property, and I know you diligently do that, you'll see that you saw that the property is just really overgrown. It needs some treatment, removal of the invasives that are throughout the area. It's a pretty big project, and Jill is embarking on that, and that'll be part of the application to the Conservation Commission. We don't really anticipate problems with the structure itself. There will be some mitigation plantings in these areas that are being cleared out. There'll be a new septic system. The present septic system is within 100 feet of wetlands. The proposed septic system will be outside of 100 feet from the coastal bank or wetlands, so conforming to Title V, whereas the existing system does not. The plans that are mounted on the wall show the garage structure. It's just under 18 feet in height, so it conforms. The property to the east over here is owned by Zaltis. Arnold Zaltis has sent me a letter, actually sent Jill a letter, talked to me, enthusiastically supporting this project. You have that. And Jill has talked to Ruth McInnes and also Rena Hines, who lives over here. They don't seem to have an objection. They're not here tonight. They're both aware of this project. One of the nice things about this is that there is no residence across the street. It's all conservation property. So in terms of impact on views or something, there won't be any adverse impact to having this small garage 50 feet back from the street. Now, Jill likes the idea, though, of trying to hide the appearance of it. She would have liked to have pulled the garage farther back, attach it to the house. She simply can't do that because of the Conservation Commission issues. She pulls it back, it gets into the buffer zone A. And although we've thought about that, this seems to work. It's allowable by special permit. There are no adverse impacts that overbalance the benefits. It's obviously a benefit to her to have a garage since she'll be living here year-round. But from an aesthetic point of view, the plans show a trellis. It says proposed trellis right there. And the architect's rendering, that's the cover sheet, not on the board. I'll give it to you if you want, but you have it. Gives an idea that there would be 4 posts and a trellis, creating an arbor that you would drive under. And it would be a very attractive thing, consistent with the garden area. That's really optional. We'd like it to be optional. We'd like you to approve it. Fences are structures that are allowed. Well, they are defined as not structures unless they're in a historic district. They're allowed in the front yard. Here's a question: is that a structure? Is it allowed in the front yard? I think you can find that it is really an ornamental thing, that it doesn't have a practical use other than as ornamental, and perhaps you can approve it. It's really to make the garage less noticeable from the street. But I'll put that before you. The total lot coverage, even with the new structure, will only be 15.6%. That's an increase from 13.2%. If you have any questions, Mike or I will try to answer them for you.
Okay, Bob, stay right there. Matt, when you read any referrals?
All right, engineering, review for impacts on public right-of-ways, standard comment. Planning board, no comment. Building, no comment. There were no other referrals. However, we did then get some email correspondence. One was from the Conservation Commission. Flood zone. Flood zone AE12 is on the plan under the FEMA map, but town overlays indicate AE13. Was not sure if the FE plan is current since dated before accepted FEMA map changes in July. Wetland lines cannot confirm coastal bank because contour lines are not shown on the plan. Appears to be coastal bank on the adjoining 10-pondlet place that swings more landward. Other wetlands like BVW freshwater wetland are not shown on the plan that borders the edge of pond. Complex wetland system with 2 ponds and possibly an intermittent stream. Need more information to assess. The other email came from David Carrigan from the Board of Health. An examination of the file plans for this appeal reveals proposed changes to the existing 4-bedroom dwelling that yield no increase in bedrooms to the existing house, and also a proposed garage with habitable space proposed for the second story over the garage. The garage plan details indicate habitable space that will be created above the lower level of that structure, unless the space is not habitable by virtue of a structural or mass building code deficiency that would preclude its use as a bedroom from a practical or legal perspective. I would have to assume that it could possibly be used as a sleeping room and would therefore have to be added to the 4-bedroom, existing for the purposes of evaluating septic adequacy. The project file plan suggests that a new 4-bedroom septic system is proposed, but I believe as stated above that a 4-bedroom system would not be sufficient for the property at project build-out. And then we do have the email from Brenda and Arnold Zaltis that Mr. Ament referred to which Mr. Ament referred.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Ken, you have any questions for Bob or Mike?
Is the garage heated?
Yes, it does. It has a half bath in it. Well, it has a toilet in it in a room, but without a sink. The sink is actually in the single room because it's really a crafts room is the intent. As Jill says, the garage itself won't be heated, just the second floor.
Just the second floor?
Yeah.
Okay. That's my question for the moment.
Mark, any questions for?
So just to be clear, the intent is to revise the plan so as to incorporate a 5-bedroom septic system.
Well, the plan has been revised and we just submitted it to you.
Okay. So that speaks to the last referral.
It does, and of course, your decision in this case could have a condition that issuance of a waste disposal permit for a 5-bedroom home.
But for all intents and purposes, at this point in time, the garage habitable space is intended for a sewing room.
That's correct.
I have no other questions at the moment.
Okay, thanks. Matt?
Sure. What's the overall lot coverage that exists now and will exist?
as you've probably noticed, it's not on the plan.
Right.
But Mr. Borselli is prepared to give you a pretty close figure.
Mr. Borselli,
How are you, Mr. McNamara? Through you, Mr. Chairman,
introduce yourself.
Michael Borselli, Falmouth Engineering. While we were waiting our turn, we discovered that might be useful information. There is no pavement on this property whatsoever. There is a driveway, and there will be a driveway that leads to the new garage. It's proposed to be pervious. That being said, though, you still have to count, like, as you said in a previous hearing, places where cars park. So we made an assumption of 2 cars being parked out in front of the garage. And if you calculate that additional square footage, your overall lot coverage, adding that into the equation would rise to 18%.
Current and proposed, because it doesn't change. No, it would.
It would change, yes.
So give me the 2 numbers, existing and proposed.
I can tell you proposed, 18%.
Okay. 18 even.
Slightly less, slightly less.
Excuse me, for clarification, you're talking about total lot
Yep.
coverage? Okay.
Yep. We've got the structures, we don't have the total lot coverage.
The total new lot coverage will be just under 18%, 17.9%.
17.9? Okay.
The current lot coverage, I did not calculate.
15.5?
Overall, just for structures. But I can tell you it would be essentially the same overall lot coverage today as it will be when the new driveway is reconfigured.
Couldn't be because you're adding a structure.
It could be if there's present parking along the street, they won't be used, count as parking.
Yeah, but we don't know.
Well, we do, because we have, this plan shows parking on the street. That's where the parking is, as you know, we've gone up to this site.
Okay.
This is the plan that shows this information. We can, of course, submit a plan that shows this
Existing.
information, although, of course, allowed lot coverage, if I recall correctly, is, and right now, is 35%, and we're at even proposed, it's 18%.
Yeah.
40%.
It's even better.
Okay. The 5-bedroom, that's been addressed. The FEMA maps, would you just go over that again?
There was a typographical error. We had designated it as AE12. It's really AE13.
So it's exactly what Mark had indicated. Okay. And could you address the balance of Mark's email in terms of not being able to identify the wetlands because they're...
Well, he made a comment about the contours not being on the plan. The contours, if you look at the plan, are on the plan. I didn't have a chance to consult with Mr. Caspers because we haven't submitted an application to him. But I think when we submit our application to him, it'll become clear that, you know, the things that he's concerned about have been mitigated. So the speculation he's making in his email can be cured by a meeting with Mark.
And does this require approval from the Conservation Commission?
Yes.
And yet you're seeking our approval first? Okay.
Yes.
Hopefully, we're correct in thinking that the board would receive this application for what it is, which is a one-car garage and a fairly simple request, allowable by special permit, almost routine, we think. The Conservation Commission application is, as I said, is going to involve a lot of vegetative improvements to the property. And we don't really think that the garage itself is an issue at all. It's in buffer zone B to the Conservation Commission. There's a little topographic change, if any, to this lot. We have met, when I say we, I mean Mr. Corselli, has met with Jennifer McKay about this plan, and they seem to see eye to eye about it. Now, the state statute says, and I'm going to read it to you, this is the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40. It says that a notice of intent shall not be sent before all permits, variances, and approvals required by local bylaw with respect to the proposed activity which are obtainable at the time of such notice have been obtained. Now, it goes on to give, in other words, the state is saying, get your local permits first, including zoning. It then goes on to say that an exception, that at the option of the applicant, you can file for a notice of intent, if you have filed, as long as you provide all the information to the Conservation Commission at that time. I point that out to simply say that the state seems to say that when you go to the Conservation Commission, you should have gone to the Board of Appeals, you should have gotten any permits. And doesn't mean we can't do both at the same time, but the rationale in this case has been that we could get this done. The work on the site and the Conservation Commission project is going to be expensive to do all this treatment and removal, which is a management plan that will take a period of years to carry out to eradicate the invasives. The design of it is expensive. You know, it's a bigger deal. It makes sense to go to the Board of Appeals on a project like this, make sure we have approval from the Board of Appeals before we design all the mitigation, the replanting and so on that's necessary to comply with the Conservation Commission. That's a long answer to your question. As you know, I don't think that there's any information that you would need related to the Conservation Commission issues that should affect your decision in this case. But it would make sense, I think, to include a condition in an approval that requires a submission prior to construction of the order of conditions issued by the Conservation Commission, which will be a few months from now, we hope, together with a copy of the approved plan for administrative review to make sure it's consistent. And I would think that the board could allow the zoning administrator to approve any landscape changes, including mitigation planting, that's consistent with it. So that's what I'd suggest.
Thank you. So if conservation alters the location of the garage or size or whatever, you'll be back here for modification. Okay.
That's
the
true.
Second floor of the garage, it's sewing room labeled, but will that be used for sleeping accommodations or a bedroom?
Well, Jill says that she has no intention of doing that. I believe that if there were an overflow of grandchildren, I don't know if that's possible to have an overflow of grandchildren, but who's to say it wouldn't be, it may not be very easy if it's filled with her sewing supplies. She says she really needs a lot of room, that the smaller bedrooms that are in the house are actually too small, so it takes a lot of room. But it is an allowed use.
It's just a simple question.
I don't know the answer. Will it be? It might be.
That's fine.
Thank you.
That's a good answer.
Done.
Yeah, said thanks. Is there separate utilities for the garage?
Oh, no, they'll all be on one account. I haven't even asked that question, but I'm sure it's going to be one account.
Oh, one account?
One account.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Bob, you said it's not going to exceed 18 feet, but you don't know the exact height of that garage.
Oh, no, it's on the plans. And it's 17 feet, 11 inches, it says so right there.
So you did know it. Okay. And there's no plans of renting out that garage? I'm assuming. Am I assuming correct?
Maybe for sewing lessons, but otherwise, no.
A lot of sewing going on there, I see. No cooking facilities
None at all.
whatsoever up there. And you did say it's still going to be a 4-bedroom, but potentially maybe some overflow or whatever. But your answer's 4 bedrooms, right on that property?
Well, the health
Even
agent
though
says
you-
it's 5 bedrooms, but it is what it is. Its
4
intent
bedrooms.
is to use it as a 4-bedroom
Okay.
property.
And the heat in the garage, that's only the 2nd floor, you said. Sir, you have any questions for Mike, Jill?
No, I just have a question on the trellis, but I'm sure if that is not the intent right now to do, then I think the building department will clarify that issue. Possibly a condition that they get approval that it is not a structure, because if it's an arbor, it can be considered a structure.
Okay, anybody else? have any-
So my question to follow that, whether Bob or Suri you might answer, would we condition that then? To go
I
to,
believe you should
to get an
condition it
interpretation
to
from
get
building?
an approval from the building department. They wouldn't allow it if it is a structure, because sometimes they can be considered landscaping, sometimes they are structures depending on what exactly they are. But that would be Eladio's determination, that it is in the front yard. so.
The board might have the condition read that the proposed trellis is allowed if determined by the building commissioner to be a landscape feature and not a structure.
Anybody else have any further questions? Siri?
Want to go to the public?
No, I think we heard enough from the public.
You better clarify that for the TV.
Being that there's nobody out there. So what do you guys want to talk about this a little bit? Ken?
I don't need to talk about this. I think this is straightforward, and...
Trying to say you want to close the hearing?
Yes, I am.
Somebody want to second
I'll
that?
second.
Okay, that Mr. Foreman and Mr. Cool to close the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Ken, how would you like to proceed then?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, you have any findings you want to instill upon this application, Ken?
Let's see, what is... So, it's garage in the front yard. I mean, that's it's still in keeping with the neighborhood? What do you find under that scenario?
It meets the requirement of the bylaw.
Of 240-68A.
There you go.
Setbacks.
8.
240-68A.
You got that one for future reference?
Got it.
You can make a finding on the septic system upgrade that was just submitted.
Yes,
That's
you
fine.
can find it there. And I guess we're, so, yeah, we're not going to find, there are 5 bedrooms.
Capable.
And we need to acknowledge that.
Well, I think you should separate it. If you're going to do a finding, there's 4 bedrooms in the dwelling, and the Board of Health
Has
states that it's-
determined that the,
excuse me, meets habitable
that the
bedroom.
habitable space in the, above the garage
Excuse me.
is considered a bedroom by the Board of Health.
Did they say bedroom or did they just say habitable space?
They said they were counting it as a bedroom.
Bedrooms.
The Board of Health counts it as a bedroom.
Okay, you're doing good so far, Ken.
Yeah, great.
Mark, you want to help your buddy out?
24216, is that what you're looking for?
I like it, you're looking over here.
Look up 68A.
finding that they're going to have to go to the Conservation
A finding that they will be filing for a notice of.
Well, yeah, that's certainly going to be a condition. It's contingent upon the approval, right?
Okay, Matt, do you have any more findings?
I think just with, that they will be filing the
Notice of
notice of intent was the only other finding that I saw.
Okay, any conditions? Ken?
Yeah, contingent on the approval of the Conservation Commission.
To be submitted to the zoning board of appeals by when?
Prior to construction. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, the building department won't sign off unless it's signed by Concom, so that's prior to building permit issuance.
And the condition that Bob mentioned, condition prior to construction submission of Concom conditions, that's what we just said, right? What about the trellis? Engineering prior to?
No.
Building department.
Building department.
Determination of the building commissioner on
It
that.
would be allowed only through the approval of the building commissioner that it is landscaping and not a structure.
And Siri, with regards to the garage, that questions I was posing to Bob, is that a restrictive covenant on that? How do we do that? Is it, the garage shall always be accessory to the dwelling,
Well, I
not
think it's
rented, all
just
that?
a condition.
Right,
You
the
don't
garage
have to
will
do
be
a
accessory.
Restrictive covenant, but you
I don't
know
The
that.
garage will be accessory
Structure.
to
To
the
the-
principal residence.
And no separate.
Should not be rented
No.
separately from the principal,
Exactly.
limited to family, guests.
Right. It
that's
shall
what-
not be a dwelling, shall not have a kitchen or any cooking facilities.
Per plans, obviously.
We need the revision on the existing coverage by structures versus the
Oh, yeah,
proposed.
that's a good catch, Mark. We need to have that submitted on the plan. You'll be doing that for conservation anyway, so.
Or the total lot coverage.
We need to have the total lot coverage on the plan.
And that can be prior to issuance of a building permit as well, so they can work it out with Concom.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be preparing those plans for Concom.
I was busy, I've got, excuse me, can we just
That's
go
per
through this
plans.
because we feel like.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've
On the
got
conditions?
We've got per plans. Concom submit copy to Board of Appeals prior to building permit. The opinion of the trellis being landscape, no rental of garage separate. Revised plot plan with lot coverage prior to building permit. What else did you guys have?
The garage is accessory to the
No.
primary.
Right, well,
That
yeah,
was
I
part
meant
of-
that in with the
Okay,
rental. That-
yeah.
That usually goes as one.
Should not be rented separately from,
Yeah, that- I got that.
she's
No
got all
rental
that,
of
she's got
garage
that list of
separate.
stuff, yeah.
Accessory only.
So I've got 4 based, or 5 conditions.
I've got 6 conditions.
We forgetting anything? Like anything else, any other conditions?
Do you think what we have is correct?
I do.
That's all that I heard, so.
So who was that? That was Mr. Foreman and Mr. McNamara? Okay, all those in favor? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
There you go.
Good luck
Good luck, Jill.
with that, Jill.
Welcome to Falmouth.
Welcome back.
It's a nice property, though. A lot of work. A lot of work. Have fun with that English ivy.
That's the least of it.
Mark, you get another plan then?
All of them.
Okay. We have some miscellaneous business here. I didn't get a chance to review the September 25th minutes, so I'm just gonna.
I don't have them ready for you guys, because
Oh, that
I
works
just
out
sent them
fine.
out this morning.
Yep, that works out perfect.
Why I actually asked.
But we do have an administrative approval request for Lafferty. We heard that last week. Maybe Sari can explain that a little further.
The Laffertys are requesting that the board, one of the board's condition was to merge the lots. There's a front lot of 2,000 and some square feet that is the road frontage, and that is land ported. The back larger part of 20,000 some square feet is registered. And one of the conditions was the board condition to merge the properties. Attorney Ament's office is requesting them to be able to file a covenant of merger to address the issue instead of filing with the land court, and I'll let Bob explain that.
Can I see
If that's
the
okay
plan,
with the
Sari?
board. There's no plan, it's just the covenant.
No, from
the covenant
before.
and the other.
Okay, thank you. I thought there was one. Ms.
And they are
Donovan,
requesting this under the board's administrative approval.
you want to?
Yeah, I don't think I need to spend long on this. This is registered unregistered land. It's without either registering one parcel or deregistering the other, which is quite a problem. You can't really effectively merge the lots. They will always be two separate lots in the records at the Registry of Deeds. You could prepare a plan that showed them as one, and you could put it on the unregistered side. They would accept it there. Problem is, we wouldn't want somebody thinking they could convey off that plan and being misled, not deal with the land court side. That would be a real problem. The assessors have already merged these lots. As of 2015, without even anybody requesting, they've assessed this, and we submitted evidence of that. I went and talked to Trish Favoli about that. So from an assessment point of view, it's already merged. Lately, the building commissioner has been routinely allowing the merger of properties for zoning and assessment purposes by getting a simple statement signed by the owner, which we've actually already prepared and had signed by the applicants in this case. Frank Duffy reviews those briefly and sends them to the town manager to sign. We just did another one over in Racing Beach. It's an effective way to just put on the record that we acknowledge that we don't have two lots. And the concern is that somebody not be misled and think that they still have two building lots. Well, the way these lots are laid out, no one would think that anyway. There's 2,000 square feet in the front, most of which is within, almost all of which is within 25 feet of the street. But I think that taking any action is perhaps unnecessary. But we've already prepared the covenant of merger. If the board would accept that instead of a new plan, which would cost substantial, we'd much rather do that, and the board's purposes, I think, are fully met. Thank you.
Hey, Bob, you mentioned substantial, and Kevin in his letter said both these options are extremely expensive and time-consuming. What's expensive?
Relatively expensive in time.
Well, I think that to register land or deal with the land court, new land court plan would exceed $5,000. I think that just doing with a new plan, getting it endorsed by the planning board, getting it recorded at the Registry of Deeds, it's whatever the legal and surveying costs of that are, plus recording fees, so you're talking about $1,000 or so. But there's a downside, as I've already said. It's a conveyancing problem to put a plan for registered land on the unregistered side. There's simply no reason for the board to insist on a new plan in this case. There just isn't. The assessors already have it as one. We'll put something on record. We will record that covenant of merger. It's a good, effective way to address a problem, which in this particular case is really not a problem at all.
And the time-consuming part, is that going to hold up the project? If you went the registry route and not this?
Well, we're proposing to record the covenant anyway, once it's already been signed by...
So it won't hold up the construction?
Not if...
I'm just curious where the time-consuming comes in, too.
Well, if one was dealing with the land court, it could take a year to 2 years. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but that in fact is the case.
Whereas if you do it this way.
We're doing a plan right now for a conveyance tomorrow where the plan is still pending in the land court 7 years later. I don't want to get involved in all the issues of dealing with land court. Things can be done. There just isn't any reason. And if we do it the way we're talking, I think Ms. Boudreau simply would send the covenant of merger, which she already has, already been signed by the applicants, agreeing that there's only one lot for building and assessment purposes. She probably wants to send it over to Mr. Duffy. It's about 2 or 3 sentences long. It's the same as the other ones he approves. And he'll send it back, and she'll take it to the town manager. He'll sign it. She'll give it to me. I'll record it at the registry of deeds. And except for the time it sits on Mr. Duffy's desk, it all could be done in about 3 days.
And just one other quick thing before I let some of my other board members ask you a question. I remember Mr. Lafferty standing up there with Mr. Borselli, and this question was asked, and they said they had known about and understood this for a long time with regards to these 2 lots in the question of merger, and then they said there was no reason not to do it except going through land court. So now all of a sudden it seems like, I know they do it all the time, but that's just one more thing our town manager has to do.
I happen to be sitting in the audience
So
last week.
you recall that statement as well?
Well, I don't usually listen very carefully to hearings because I'm thinking about what I need to do next. But my ears perked up when I heard that, when I heard the discussion of the merger, and all I could say to myself was, oh no, this is a mess. And it's an unnecessary one, particularly in this case. I think the Laffertys came to our office the very next morning and said, what is this all about? What are we doing? And both he and Mr. Borselli spoke too quickly on an issue which I think was really very peripheral to the issues before the board that night. Again, wasn't involved in what extensions of the house were planned. But I hope you believe me from quite a few years of experience dealing with split lots, registered, unregistered land, the issue of merger, that the way we're proposing to do it is an effective and consumer-friendly and appropriate way to deal with it.
Anybody have any questions for Bob?
Yeah, I just, if one were to decide to try to sell a portion of this, would that then be impossible? After your...
One could, on the unregistered side, if you wanted to sell a portion of it, well, you'd essentially be violating zoning if you're reducing the size of an existing non-conforming lot. I mean, that question could, what your real question is, could somebody give a deed of the registered parcel separate and somehow convey that on the land court records? The answer is yes. If we record the covenant if we register the covenant of merger as well as record it, I don't think that could happen. There are many, many properties in Falmouth that consists of 2 unregistered pieces of property or 2 registered pieces, or some registered and unregistered. And this, the problem you're trying to craft a solution for is not a problem that exists. It just doesn't happen. Nobody's going to buy that front 20 feet of the frontage of that piece of property. It just doesn't make sense.
But the next door neighbor who might need an additional piece of space in order to accomplish something that he's looking to do could potentially buy. I don't know how, Bob, you can register that covenant at the land court if it isn't attached to registered property. You can't hang out there without...
No, it will be attached. There is a certificate of title for that 2,000 square foot piece of property.
But the covenant will be more than just that one piece of property.
The land court will take that document.
I have to honestly say I disagree with you. It's not it's not an assessing function, and I don't think it was peripheral. It was, if you don't have those lots combined, you've got a lot coverage, potentially a lot coverage problem. And we didn't get into those questions because Mr. Lafferty and Mr. Borselli said it'll be merged.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that, when I looked at Kevin's email and it said, relatively expensive and relatively time-consuming, we're not holding it up. I mean, if the modification is that they have to be merged, I don't think it said it had to be merged prior to a certain date, Suri, and we haven't even done the decision yet, I don't think.
I'm not finished with it. Well, actually, I am finished with the decision. It's before you guys for review.
So, I don't think the timing, and then the relative expense, $5,000 to do it on a $1.5 million piece of property when it's done, I'm not sure that's relatively expensive. And it eliminates, to me, it's a loose end that we keep seeing pop up periodically. And why don't we tie up loose ends? I don't know. But I disagree with Bob respectfully.
Excuse me, I did, the decision was finished this afternoon and sent, and I've got to send out one. It just says the lots shall be merged through an A&R plan filed with the planning board and the Barnstable Registry of Deeds.
We can do that.
If I can chime in on here.
Yeah, chime in, it's going to take all four of us.
The primary purpose of what we're trying to effectively take care of, and Bob had mentioned it, is to protect people in the transfer of the property. So they don't get blindsided on if there's two or if there's one. So I put this to Bob, and I'm hearing, and I think I know what his response will be, doing it per the condition or doing it per your suggestion with the covenant of merger are both equally as effective when it comes to the law?
I think the covenant of merger is the better idea. Doing the A&R plan and recording it at the Registry of Deeds will cost a client $1,000.
But despite the costs, I'm just saying,
sure, we can,
the effectiveness legally, do they carry the same weight?
Unless we were to deregister the registered land or register the unregistered land, there will be two lots of register. There will be one lot for building, for assessment purposes. We will put a plan on record at the Registry of Deeds that shows it as one. It won't go on the registered side. And it will be there for the world to see. And it will, with more than adequate protection, I believe, to all interests of the town. And that will cost more, but that's reasonably doable. We can do that. We can do it fairly quickly. Borselli has to prepare the plan. We have to go to the planning board, and we'll get it done.
So are you telling me then that the covenant of merger isn't as effective as to what the board wanted initially for the condition?
No, I'm not. I think that the covenant of merger is entirely effective, but it doesn't seem to me that the four of you unanimously agree.
Well, actually, I think it is effective. I mean, to be perfectly honest.
But I don't think you all agree.
Actually, I just heard a third option because I'm not sure, I haven't had a chance to review that draft. I'm not sure that was the condition that was what was said by the board, because I think that's sounding like a third option. We've got a covenant.
The board said to merge the lots.
Right. But I don't think it went so far as to say by an A&R to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds, because that's the third option. To merge the lots really requires, as Bob said, to deregister one or to register the other,
Right.
which I think was...
The board had just said merge, so
right.
I just assumed it's your typical A&R.
Covenant is the second option.
Right.
The third option is what
Right.
is in the application,
the
which
town.
is A&R and file on the
Barnstable.
Barnstable. So those are three options,
I'm inclined to, you made a good point, Matt, with the, I don't know, it's a substantial home, it's big money, and I don't think, when I'm reading Kevin's letter on expensive and time consuming, I still don't see that, how that comes into play.
I'm going at it from the, what effect does it have on the primary purpose of what we're trying to accomplish? And if
What we're trying to
the easy
accomplish is
way or the one option available to us is going to be better suited and less injurious to the applicant, and just as effective, why not do it?
I agree, except that Bob gave sort of an ambiguous answer with respect to whether you could sell either, you know, a portion of the lot. And I can easily see a situation where the neighbor needs a piece of it for some purpose.
But we're dealing in right now, not potentially in the future.
No, the purpose of the merger was exactly for to create a situation where we had as much conformance as possible.
If the lots are merged, the neighbor could still try and sell a piece.
He
to
could,
the
he
neighbor,
could, but-
And they could possibly get an A&R plan as long as it showed that that was an individual lot, you know, prior, but they lose all protection of 240-3 nonconformity. So I can't imagine why anybody would do that, and I'm not advocating either way, I'm just making a statement that may not be something really to worry about, selling a piece of land, because I can't imagine. We've got case law, and that's the first thing when people say to us, or the planning board, I'm assuming, that once you do this, you lose all protection. Because it is a non-conforming lot.
Well,
Not only in size, but also in setbacks, excuse me, to the 3-foot contour line. So they would lose all protection.
Well, I don't want to extend this to the definition of lot used to be area of land used or intended for use as a site for a building. Now we define it by a solid line. We'll prepare a plan, shows as a one solid line. We'll put it on the unregistered side at the registry of deeds. It'll be endorsed by the planning board. We'll give you a copy. And we can do that. I could also revise the covenant so it's added language that said no portion of the merged lot may ever be separately sold. I haven't put that language in there, but out of this conversation, it sounds like maybe you'd feel that that was sufficient if it was in there. What I don't want to do is register a piece of land or deregister it at great expense, and if it was my $5,000 or your $5,000, you'd think that was a pretty significant expense for something that isn't necessary.
That sounds like the safe route to me.
Which is that?
The land court route.
No, sir.
$5,000
No, sir, and it could be $10,000, and it could take years.
At the end of the day, I think it's safer for
nobody.
The safest route than just having the town manager sign off on something.
Well, basically, you're recommending changing the history of conveyancing in Massachusetts for the last 110 years, which has had two systems of land court of registration, unregistered and registered land, that have operated perfectly well together, and I don't think there's any zoning decision ever approved in this town, or probably in the state, that it was a requirement to do what you're saying, that you must have all unregistered land or must have all registered land. These things work together, and we're offering ways to do it. This is just a side show to a special permit about an application for expanding the house. This is not something that needs to be so difficult.
The most correct thing you said, Bob, is we did spend enough time on this, so what is everybody?
No, but Cerie's proposal was one that's in the middle.
And I think that's a good compromise, to be very honest with you. I think, covenant is basically the two parties want to believe that it's merged. I don't think that's good enough. But I think if there is an A&R plan, right now we've got a plan in our file that shows two lots. Mm-hmm. And we need to be thinking of it as one. So if there's a revised plan that shows one there, they get the endorsement by the planning board, it gets at least recorded on one side, because if somebody were looking to buy this...
That's unambiguous.
That's right.
Someone isn't going to come along and say...
Right. If somebody were thoroughly doing a title search on this property, they'd be looking at both sides, the registered land and the... So they're going to have to do that anyway. I think the good compromise is what is actually Cerie's proposal.
And that'll be fine, we'll do that.
Okay, so I'm happy to move that if you need a motion.
To revise the condition?
Yeah, because the condition was just to merge the lots, and we'll, how
Write
about...
down an A&R plan through the planning board.
Exactly, and to be recorded at the registry.
I'll second that.
Yes.
So that was Mr.
That's
Foreman,
what it
Mr.
states.
Cool. So we're gonna need 4 per procedural rules.
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's exactly what the commission already says, Mark.
Right, but now we...
But it wasn't one,
but
I would have
Now it's
corrected...
clear what it says.
I thought,
Yeah, I would have corrected you.
Can you take that plan from me?
so you don't have to go to one.
There's some nuances there.
An A&R plan filed with the planning board and the Barnstable Registry.
That's
It's
all.
already there.
Okay, future agenda items, you know that. If anything piques your interest, let the Cerie know through the office.
Well, we ask you to put things on the agenda and it doesn't happen.
What was it?
What did I get?
He took a shot at me, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to have on the agenda our vacancy issue.
I did speak to, it's not on the agenda, but
No, board comment is on the agenda.
There we go.
Correspondence, board
Captures it.
comment.
then I'll wait till I skip down to there. How's that?
I think we'd also talked about a future agenda item about reviewing some of the projects that we had been to. And I mean, I know it's taking the time to do it, but I know
Pictures
that...
are on the website.
No, but Patty had wanted to talk about a specific project. We morphed that away from a specific
that's right.
project into...
Like in a field
looking
trip type
at-
thing.
Yeah, discussing some of the impacts of things that we have approved. And that's why I think, tonight's discussion about this property, it's helpful to do that.
By the way, that was a extremely good suggestion for the benefit of not only the presenters, but also the board, if you could superimpose what it's going to look like over what's currently there.
Yeah, well, that's,
Yeah,
that's
we
usually...
can't talk about that right now because it's still heavy.
Sorry.
Okay, Matt. I'll get that on there somehow. Gen Code, I don't think we have any update with that.
But that's what your meeting is to talk about. With the-
During our joint meeting on
Right.
October 28th.
Which may not happen.
What?
Mr. Curry just got a phone call today. The chairman may not be able to make the meeting. He was hoping to let me know for sure by the end of today, but it didn't happen, so maybe by tomorrow.
That's Pat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he really wants her to attend. She wants to attend, so we may have to schedule that back a little bit.
Okay.
I'll let the board know by email.
All right, thank you. And correspondence and board comment, just to go back to what Matt was asking about the vacancy, I did go into,
Diane?
to see Diane. I was hoping to see Julian, but he was busy. But I did mention Diane again repeatedly. I always say the same thing. We've got to get that on the website. We're still looking for members. We've been down a member now, I don't know, 3 months or so. She tells me it's in the process, and
How hard can it be?
it doesn't seem very hard, Ken, but I get frustrated in there, I gotta be honest with you. And I know Cerie, you can see the email, well, you don't see it, but she sends it to me, she emails, it's gotta be every 2 or 3 weeks, just a reminder. So I don't know what the problem is.
Welcome to...
But I do see them
welcome
appointing
to
other
my
people
former
on other
world.
boards, so
The,
I don't know what to do.
They keep almost constantly, they're filling vacancies, so I don't understand
The,
how ours doesn't get in.
It's a month ago, because it was September 4th, that I think our last cell tower hearing was here, and Rebecca Moffett was here, and I know you spoke to her, so a month's gone
Mentioned it
by.
then, yeah.
And, you know, maybe an email to her as our liaison, but it,
Yeah.
it's sorry to keep bugging you, David, because I know what it's like, but it
I think it's important.
needs to be
If
addressed.
email
You get the big
Rebecca
bucks.
To CC Diane and Julian, I really do, I think it's more effective.
Just for consideration, would it be worth going to the selectmen's meeting and at their comment,
Well, you could, but
act on the...
as you know, they sit there and they don't respond.
Yeah, but, I mean, you're out on, basically what you're doing is using FCTV.
We are right now, and we have, but, you know, I think that, you know, there may be some other things, but, you know, the reality is Rebecca's our liaison, and she said, I will take care of that for you. It's been a month, nothing's been taken care of. And we'll go another month, and, you know, we've been down a member, and I anticipate we'll be down that member for some time
She's
as
trying
things
to
get
attend the
worse.
next meeting,
Yeah, and
but keep us surprised.
No, but it's just nice, yeah, it's nice, like Mark, he's, you know, if we didn't have an associate, we'd been
Right.
no quorum tonight, I mean.
But I also think it's not fair to the applicants to, even though we have a quorum, to have everyone have to have a unanimous vote. That also puts, you know, and I think we handle it well, but it puts undue pressure on the board, feeling like, oh, you know, I'm going to compromise where I might not typically compromise on something like that, but it's a unanimous vote, and therefore, you know, it's, so I just don't think it's right. I think it's a disservice to this community not to be publicizing this vacancy and
But I
taking
think,
action on it.
and Ken hit the nail on the head, how hard is it to do? It doesn't seem very hard.
Well, I don't know why it vanished off the website anyway, the whole vacancy list.
I gotta believe if it was our office controlling the website for this, it would be on there, but.
Well, you know,
By the way, the website can be,
Accessed.
you can look up special permits by addresses.
I actually have
Sweet.
gone on this week, and I put in a couple that we talked about, Capital was one of them, and it pulled everything right up, which has a funky date still of April 18th, 2014 for even like a 2005 decision.
Yeah, but that may be the last
Entry to the
update
file,
of
yeah.
Capo,
So
with it,
No,
that we updated it.
there's still, other
Because
board
that
comment?
That does
Because I
come
have
up
one other
sometimes.
thing.
Oh, in that
Updated
case, no,
dates.
there's not.
I'll talk to you.
Okay, and Ken, you had another comment?
So, agenda items for this planning board meeting, are we, what are those?
I believe it's between the two chairmen and whatever the
So,
board has.
something that's been bugging me for ages is in 24216, it says adequacy of the method of sewage disposal, source of water and drainage. We see projects like, you know, in coastal pond overlay districts and so forth, some of which may be sewered someday, some of which may not. And we never consider, and it's always been argued that the bylaw doesn't really allow us to consider, imposing conditions that would reduce nitrogen inputs.
Except in one area of the bylaw.
Right, but this could easily be changed
Absolutely.
with a few words to say sewage disposal, including consideration of nutrient loading, blah, blah, blah. Some kind of wording right there in condition E.
Well, we're gonna be talking.
And if we could do that, then when we saw a project come in, we could say, well, we think you should put in denitrifying on-site system, urine diverting toilets, whatever it might be to mitigate.
I think that was the whole intent initially of the bylaw review, to look at things.
Things
Right,
like
but
that.
I just think that's a really easy change, and
Before-
my sense is that town meeting voted the 50 million for Little Pond, but it might be a while before they vote a big chunk of money for the rest of the town.
The thing about the intent, our intent, 2012, when we talked to the Board of Selectmen?
11 and 12.
Yeah, was to get this done. Here we are into 2015, for all intents and purposes. And all we have is clerical corrections under Gen Code.
Right, I don't think we need to wait for the comprehensive review.
That's my point.
To make this change.
Yes.
This is a small change.
I don't think that we should say, okay, wait, because the way it's going, it will be 20 years before, if we wait till it's all done. And there may be some very important things that have to get done before that.
Right.
And so I'm all, for...
Well, then why doesn't the board possibly discuss something like that and put in articles at, like, April 10th?
Right, well, I would like to see something that's jointly supported by
Right.
maybe all three boards, selectmen, planning, and that pertains to this.
Selectmen...
I'm just saying, hey, one can hope.
Planning and Board of Health, I think, is...
Well, and I go a step further, because Concom imposes D-nights in certain cases. So, I think that, but I think you're right. If, the GenCo thing to me has been an extreme disappointment. We're nowhere closer to what we had hoped for. And if we had hired, an attorney that had this kind of experience, we would have been halfway there.
But we still might not have made that change, because that might not be...
No, but I agree. I don't think it means that we put on pause some of the things that really have to be addressed. And it's, I'm the stickler saying, it's not there, we don't have the power to do it. But if we get the power, I might then agree with you on some of those things.
So, I think that's the solution. So I just bring that up as something that if you are talking to planning about...
I think that's an important thing to put on the agenda.
On the agenda, we
No, I agree.
Pat talked about agendas, yeah?
Yeah. Very good, that's all. Thank you very much.
Anything else?
Motion to
Okay,
adjourn.
with that,